Hello friends, welcome to episode 270 of the Noclip podcast. We are down a Howley today. He is enjoying, well, he's probably on the way to Japan right now. But I'm delighted to be joined by Jesse Grasha and Jeremy Jane. How are you guys doing? If you could get on a plane anywhere, Jesse, right now, where would it be?
Oh, that's a really tough question. I might go back to the Netherlands, man. That was fun. I would have liked to have gone to The Hague and Rotterdam. We didn't go there.
Okay. So you're going to the one place you've been in Europe? Again?
Yes, again.
Okay.
I know like there. They speak English enough. It's fun.
It's comfort. That's a good point. Yeah. Travel can be stressful. Jeremy, What was the most stressful place you ever traveled?
Oh, that's a great question.
Thanks. I got two that's a great questions.
This guy's a pro.
Which usually to me means they're just biding time.
No.
Let me just think about that.
Question.
Let me dig into the old memory.
Good question.
I think my answer to that question is the same, not the same as Jesse's answer, but
also the Netherlands,
same as I would have answered to Jesse's question, which is probably Japan. I think Japan was my favorite place, but also one of the more difficult trips. I think it was my first trip out of North America, and I landed in
Poland, right? Were the two you did first, yeah.
And I landed in Narita, which is like an hour outside Tokyo, not that far, but way less English friendly. Still pretty English friendly, but like going around asking people for where's the train at. I didn't know Doko Deska yet, so I was fucked. But it was fun. It was great. I mean, it was like that's like a fun part of travel too, is just being tossed in and not knowing what's going on, and no one speaks English, and people are trying to help you, and it's awkward, and it's like a human moment to have like a language barrier, and you're like, I'm like, what's the train look like in charades?
Yeah, and you only knew the train station you needed to go to by the sound of the birds that were playing on the speakers.
I hummed the chime to them, and they're like, I don't know what you're doing there. Apparently
now there's more English on that metro because of the Olympics or something. That they did. They did a bunch of I'm presuming Winter Olympics or something. I'm not actually quite sure. But it's a miracle we found ourselves, especially because there were two of the same hotel within a block of each other. And
so many APA hotels in Japan is crazy.
All over the place. Ridiculous stuff. We have a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about the demo for Zero Parades for Dead Spies, the latest game by the people at Zaum. I also played some Esoteric Ebb, another game influenced by Disco Elysium. I played a little bit of the Marathon Server Slam over the weekend too, and Jesse dove into the Legend of Khiimori, so plenty to talk about. Before we talk about those though, I want to mention two things right on the top. First of all, after our podcast today, after the regularly scheduled part of it, we have an interview with the team from Abide, which is Talha and Jack Co. Is that the name of the developer, Jesse?
I believe so, yes.
They worked previously on Judero, which is what the claymation. Was he Scottish or was it prehistoric? I forget.
Judero? It's a Celtic story about.
There you go. I should have known that.
Big guy with a staff walking around.
Yes,
you should have known that. Yeah.
And Mashina as well. They are creators of some wonderful looking games. They just had a Kickstarter for Abide, which successfully reached its required amount. Who is interviewing them? Is it both you guys or is it just Jesse?
It'll just be me.
Nice.
It will be a great interview, I hope. I hope you enjoy it, listener. I'll enjoy doing it because these people are very talented and I'm excited to talk to them about everything that they've been working on for the last little while.
You need to make sure they say great question after every question.
I'll make sure to ask them tough questions that take a while to answer. So
here's the trick. This is the trick to being a good interview. Only ask great questions.
Well, exactly. Obviously.
No bad questions. Don't ask them silly questions. Okay?
All right.
Okay, we'll rate you afterwards.
It's your favorite balloon animal.
You only get paid for every great question they say back. Okay?
Is that why I didn't get paid this month? Is that
exactly?
They're all mid questions.
Don't tell them beforehand, okay? And don't edit it in. Don't AI voice them.
Oh man, that was my plan the whole time.
I know. people don't know that Frank is actually AI. It's just that we've run out of Bitcoin to put into the machine.
When he goes to Japan, he's at the service center. That's where the service center is in rural Japan.
Send it back to Sanyo or whatever. Get it fixed up. I also want to mention that we are collaborating with a bunch of amazing developers on a Steam festival. Would you believe?
Cool.
We're bringing a Steam festival to Steam next week. With, like I said, a sort of a loose collective of devs headed up by Gil Lawson, creator of Zombie America. And wait, did I say that right?
Goblin America.
Goblin America. Sorry, I was just playing Esoteric Ebb and I had zombies on the brain.
Goblin America's got to be one of the best titles for a video game ever.
It's amazing. I fucked it up just there.
Wow.
When I was saying it, I was like, this isn't coming out right. But yes, Goblin America. And he contacted me a couple of months ago because he was like, so we're putting together this Steam festival of games that don't prescribe to any particular genre, that aren't from one studio. They're just sort of all strange games. But it's weird because your channel, Noclip 2, seems to be very much focused on this non-genre of game, this vibe of game. I don't know. Yeah, and we got the list, a couple of weeks ago, and we were looking over it yesterday, and it's a lot of games that we have covered, a lot of our Game of the Year top 10s, a lot of ones we've done Indie Rex for or have appeared in Next Fest videos. And I'm super excited about it. The festival is called Computer Worlds, which I think is a great name, especially because myself and Gil could not come up with a name for like 2 months. And he eventually came at me and was like, I came up with Computer Worlds. And I was like, that is fantastic. So as part of this, we are going to be putting up the teaser trailer should already be up on Noclip 2, sort of showcasing the vibe of this thing. The festival itself is then starting next week. So that will be on, I believe, Thursday the 12th. We are kicking it off on Noclip 2 with a showcase. So it's going to be 30-40 minutes of trailers for new games, trailers for existing games that are going on sale, loads of interesting bits and bobs in there, really slickly produced. I'm not just saying that about my own editing, but they've collaborated with a bunch of artists and musicians to make cool bumpers and music, and the key art is just, that's its own conversation to have as well. We were talking about this yesterday as well on the call when I sent it to you guys. Esteban Sanchez, who has done key art for like a million great games like Norco and what else we got? Well, you
the
guys
new
are
one
pulling up
for
the page.
Airframe Ultra. Yeah, you already said Norco. What was the other one? Goblin
Pig
America's
Face,
obviously.
Goblin America,
Pigface.
Pigface.
A lot of cool ones.
Just a bunch of amazing art, and he has produced a really incredible piece of art for this that I was delighted to split into layers and animate a little bit. So, so we're going to have it's going to be like a proper show. Forget your Microsoft showcase, forget your Nintendo showcase, you got your cozy games, your PC gamer, all this stuff, Summer Games Fest, Noclip 2, throwing their hat in the ring with Gil Lawson and Co. for Computer Worlds. We're going to be premiering it on Noclip next Thursday. You can check it out. We'll be promoting it all week all over the place as well. So make sure that you are tuned into that. If you're a subscriber of Noclip 2, there will be a premiere video appearing next week. And you can go check it out then. So yeah, Jesse, you snuck a little peek at the early cut of the teaser as well, didn't you?
I did. I'm a little sneaker.
Bastard.
I'm a sneaker.
Boy.
It was pretty good.
Pretty good.
And I'm not just saying that because you pay me. It was actually
really good questions in it, wasn't there?
It was great questions. Gil took lots of time to think about his answers to the no questions you asked him. It was great.
His intro is fantastic.
Yeah.
He says, "My name is Gil Lawson, and I make strange games on the computer," which I think is
perfect.
The perfect way to introduce yourself to somebody. If you're
That's what
Gil
Jeremy
Lawson.
says too at every party he goes to. It works
exactly.
out perfectly.
That is not. It's almost word for word my bio on social media.
It's pretty good. And just to round it up, to let you guys know exactly when to expect it, it'll be March 12th, 1 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. That is when the showcase is going live. It, of course, is a VOD, so you can watch it, the premiere live if you want, with the chat. I'll be in there. Loads of devs will be in there. Maybe these two will be in there. And afterwards, it'll be available to watch VOD as well. And we really, really, really would like help retweeting, reposting, sharing it in your communities. The whole point of this thing is that these games are amazing, but because they don't have, genre tags that connect to each other, or like are from the same developer or publisher, they just sort of exist in perfect isolation to each other. A lot of people don't know about these amazing games, and so we're really, I know there's lots of calls to action on podcasts and stuff. We try and limit that as much as possible on our end. We just try and produce our work and hope that you enjoy it and you share it yourself if you think it's cool, or the algorithm does it for us, which doesn't happen all that often. But for this one, for sure, we would really appreciate you banging your drum about it and sharing it around, and hopefully the folks at Horror/Games and a bunch of other spots will put it up and promote this teaser and promote this showcase, because that's the whole point of it, is to try and get people to see these games and hear about these games and realize that they're fucking rad. I think that's the other thing that sort of connects all of these disparate creators. Computer Worlds, check it out next Thursday over on Noclip 2. Massive thanks, of course, to our Battle Pass holders, which I'm going to do in reverse again. I'm feeling a bit flip reverse today. All so right. Massive thanks to Ryson, James Med, Entheogen, Jacob Godserve, George Sakotis, Alex Goucher, Zachary Snader, Cameron Ladd, Grizzly Mug, Christoph Fatui, Eric Hamilton Schneider, Jonathan Kremen, Dark Insanities, Forrest Pruitt, Tim Robinson, Hewitt Nate, John Akers, Bone Mauled, Pez, Sven Huster, Goddison, David McGarry, Tucker Morgan, Quote, Mark Rojas, Matt Pearson, Arno, Juice, Harry Flanagan, Redredge, Senator Armstrong, Itzami Ferrario, Nico Passaderi, Anthony Thomas, Dwayne the Rock Lobster, Yush, Lovepreet, Lil Toast, and my favorite Celt, Brian Baru. All right.
When you're working a retail job, by the way, and you are running on autopilot, you have all your questions, and somebody says an answer to a question that you haven't asked them yet, and it's out of order, it throws you off. That's what you just did to me for that entire list of pages. I don't know what it was. You said Jacob Godserve and you activated me. I got a panic attack. I was like, right, yes. I'll do my little dance for you.
That's why I said Jacob and paused, because I was like, I need to give Jesse a sort of
it didn't work
here.
It wasn't enough.
You got it. Not quite as bad, I would say, as the panic attack you gave me before we started this podcast.
Equally bad, I feel like.
When he was like, "Oh, I saw the teaser for Computer Worlds." I'm like, "Wait, how?" He was like, "It's on Noclip 2." I was like, "What?" I fucking published the first draft online. And then he was like, "Yeah, unlisted." You just skulking around back there, seeing what's going on.
Sorry.
No, I love it. It was good. I needed to get woken up. Especially because we're about to talk about Zero Parades for Dead Spies. So, okay. Episode 5 of Disco is coming out on Monday. Episode 6 should be up in early access by the time you're listening to this. It's almost done. Zero Parades for Dead Spies is, of course, the next game from Zaum, the studio responsible for Disco Elysium. It is impossible to talk about this game without talking about everything that has happened. And I think it is sadly impossible to play this game without that being in the back of your head. At least if you're as sort of online pilled as many gamers and fans of Disco Elysium is. It's an unfortunate reality. It has nothing to do with the amazing work and talents of the people working at that studio, attempting to make this game. But I, at times, attempted to play this game living in a sort of pretend version of the universe where none of that stuff happened. I was like, I'm going to try and rid myself of that feeling of unease or guilt, or I don't know what it is. Jeremy, how did you, just before we get to the game itself, it's sad that we have to do this, but I really think we do. I think it's it would be, journalistic malpractice to not, talk about the elephant in the room. You know what I mean? And I feel bad for everyone who's worked on this game that this keeps getting brought up, but for me, separating art from artist on this one is impossible.
Yeah, no, 100%. I even, as the Zaum logo came up at the beginning of the demo and there's a nice little animation, it was emblematic of how I knew the entire experience would go, where it'd be like, oh, it's a nice little animation. And I feel vaguely sick watching it.
Right.
It was, I don't know. I think this is the nicest thing I can say about this demo. And as a result, like this game, as far as I've seen it, is that it is competently made. But I think that the problem is that it's so fucking, like, it's so Disco Elysium. It feels like at times like a Disco Elysium cover band. And I think that the problem is that I know that some of the people who worked on this worked on the original Disco Elysium. I'm not saying that like this is a totally new crew who are picking up the work from other people.
Yeah. From my, experience and research on the project, those two would be Justin Keenan, who was he was listed as an editor on Disco Elysium, but the credits on Disco were kind of weird, like sort of unfairly attributed, I would say. It sounds like Justin did some writing on Disco as well. He wasn't there the whole time. He joined, let's say, midway through the project, and he also, I believe, left Zaum to work on other projects. He might have been a contractor because he lives in America, and then came back and was there for all of the craziness that happened in the firings and all that. And then Kaspar Tamzalu, who was a artist, sort of Rostov's partner on Disco, who I also think left. Who knows? Could have been fired. You can never tell with the Disco stuff to a certain point. Left and then also came back as well. And Kaspar is responsible for lots of the environment art in the original Disco Elysium. And Justin was responsible for a lot of what happened in Final Cut. Like, I think the 4 political side quests, he was instrumental in putting those together as well. And both of these people were interviewed on the PMG series. I actually chose not to reach out to either of them for reasons that I will get into in episode 6, but it all basically comes down to, if we talk to them, we have to talk about all the firing stuff. And if we talk to them about it, we have to talk to Kurvitz about that. And none of these people can be trusted to say the authentic thing, because there are 3 court cases going on and no one's going to implicate themselves or their employers. So, yeah, which is the one thing I think that myself and Chris at PMG sort of tackle this differently, is that I distrust that people can be authentic when talking about court cases, because you can't give the other side evidence. And so that means you just, the broth is spoiled. You cannot, there's no point in doing it. And that conversation I actually do talk about with Robert in the doc, but we'll get to that in episode 6. But anyway, sorry, I interjected just to contextualize who did work on it, at least.
Yeah, there's also, apologies, pronunciation in advance for Estonian names, Cinema. Yes, was additional writing on Disco Elysium, is one of the 2 lead writers on Zero Parades.
Oh, great, okay, so Seam is there as well, right?
Yeah, so... it's weird that this game feels so much like Disco Elysium, because I think that the problem is that they're clearly trying to be like, this is like a new thing, it's a new start, where this is the new Zaum, but it's like it reads so much like Disco Elysium, and even when it sets itself apart tonally, because I do think that there are interesting differences. I mean, this is about a spy, not a cop. I mean, that
how far? Oh yeah,
they're
real
both
far
authority
apart,
Figures. There are, I think the fact that you play like an amnesiac cop, or sorry, I fucking it up already. Amnesiac spy at the beginning is like, all right, this is way too close. But then there are they introduce sort of tonal differences. This character feels like they have sort of a more more serious upfront kind of introduction to their character and to their situation, whereas Harry's is like, even when it's very tragic, Harry is like, you know, there are moments of real deep tragedy, but a lot of Harry's tragedy early on in Disco feels like he's like a sad clown. You know what I mean? Where it's like, you don't immediately get into his deep trauma. You're just like, oh, he's like this bumbling, drunk, like red-nosed clown figure. Whereas you sort of immediately get some more upfront loaded seriousness in this. And I thought that could have been really interesting if this game took itself way more seriously. That would have set it apart for me. But then there are like immediately sort of like joke answers to some of the prompts, like some of the questions that come up that felt really ill-fitting to me. And so that to me was sort of emblematic of what happens in this game, which is that in opportune moments where it could set itself apart as a tonally distinct thing, as an artistically distinct thing, it feels like it falls back into patterns that Disco Elysium took, familiar sort of tonal and narrative and aesthetic paths that remind me of Disco Elysium. And I think perhaps the most egregious of them all is that mechanically this game has a sort of, you know, it's mechanically slightly different, but like the thought cabinet is here. You have thoughts, you level them up. That's sort of the RPG stat boost, and you're having conversations with the thought cabinet, with these like different slices of your persona. And I think that if you really wanted to wipe the slate clean and establish this as a significantly different thing, I think you would have to just like start over mechanically. Yep. Because this is a disco-like. This is not a CRPG, and I think that is like, oh, you could be like, oh, well, a CRPG, you know, Planescape Torment. There's like, you know, answering bifurcating narrative questions and stuff. But it's Planescape Torment is not a disco-like, and Disco is not a Planescape Torment-like. Zero Parades is a disco-like mechanically and tonally.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on, Jesse.
I was just going to say that I had the exact same feeling. Like I only played the first maybe 15, 20 minutes of the demo. I had it open for 40 minutes, but I kept alt tabbing because I just couldn't give a shit. But like they keep, as I'm reading it, I was paying attention to what's going on. I was just like, you know, this is one of those things where I would have to sit down and actually play it. I hate doing story games in Next Fest. It doesn't work out for me, or any demo for that matter.
Yeah.
I want to play the full thing. But with this, I wanted to give it a shot before we came on and talked about it. And my immediate thoughts were, one, I really don't like the narration in the game. Not the narrator's like performance is bad. It's just, it doesn't line up with the text, which is like a really annoying when you're trying to read and listen to someone say two separate things at the same time. That threw me off. So I turned that off right away. And then the other thing was what Jeremy's getting at. I feel like I'm playing a game that relies on me having played Disco Elysium. Like there's very little tutorialization in Zero Parades to understand the mechanics of what's going on or why anything's happening the way that it is.
That's funny.
In Disco Elysium,
considered that. Yeah.
That was the immediate feeling I had, was like, Disco Elysium works. I played that game twice. Disco Elysium works because right away you don't know what's going on, but what you don't understand is still funny and interesting, and like it has a dark humor to it. When the thought cabinets pop up, they're not just like telling you matter of factly what's going on. A lot of the moments when you're interacting with characters in the demo for Zero Parades, literally again in the beginning when it's still tutorial mode, I guess if you want to say that, they're going like, here's what's going on. The thoughts are thinking, here's what they've said about the scenario that you're in. You're talking to a character. Matter of factly, they'll be like, you see something behind her eyes. But like in the beginning of Disco Elysium, when they introduce the thought shelf shit, they're like, you know, they say something funny. They make like a weird observation. They get like, yeah, you can smell the tar on her shoes and it's as black as her heart. And here it's like, this character you might know from the past. It's like, no. That's not interesting enough.
I want to quickly jump in here because like, and I don't want to play devil's advocate necessarily, but I think a point you made earlier there that like, you know, when we reviewed games at GameSpot, for instance, you played the whole game before you set anything,
totally.
right? So
yes,
like,
100%.
and the nature of how we have to talk about these demos especially is that like, they are a slice of a game, and narrative games, like you said, and we'll get on to Esoteric Ebb in a second, for instance, which is a game I played, I think, 2 Next Fest back. They suffer more. It's kind of like trying to, you know, review a book's narrative based on the first chapter. You know what I mean?
From
Like,
the sleeve or something. Like,
yeah,
right.
There could be things going on at the start of this that are, you know, jinx or payoffs for later. It's just, who knows? You know, probably not. Maybe in many cases, but who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think. I agree with you guys. I think I was really shocked that this started off in a like not like ostensibly a hotel room again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like not a hotel room, but like, you know, an apartment upstairs in a shop. That it was about your partner again. I was just I had the same feeling of like, I am trying to remove Disco Elysium from my head here, and this game is making it very difficult to do so. I wonder if funding, the amount of time they had to work on this thing, they had to rely on stuff that they'd already, done the tech stack for, as it were, thought cabinets, the way the camera moves, the way the text works, you know what I mean? Like retooling all that stuff maybe is part of the problem. I like the world. I think the art style is obviously different because Rostov's not involved, but like Kaspar obviously is and did a lot of the environment art in the original Disco. But I like the look of it. I like the color of it. And like when you get out into the town and you're in the bazaar and stuff like that, like there's an activity and a buzz that you sort of is cool, like little kids running around the dock and stuff like that, which I thought was interesting. But I don't play many games that involve a lot of writing. Because I'm not a good reader. Like I don't read many books, most years will go by and I won't have read one. It's been something I've struggled with attention wise or whatever it is. I don't have dyslexia or anything. I'm just an idiot. But
No, you're not.
But Disco was able to clear some whatever self-imposed or inherent threshold that I have that I was always interested and eager to read. And I did find this more laborious. Like there were some great lines in there. I'm interested. I'm interested in the sort of overall mystery as it is at the start of this game of trying to find out what's going on and trying to find the person who hired you and the mystery behind why you were sort of unfrozen to take on this thing. And I really liked talking to the music trader guy in the bazaar. I thought the interactions with him were really good. Like that was a really interesting back and forth, and the lady with the photograph and that, the lady in the shop was less interesting maybe. And it's funny because some of it's voiced, some of it's not as well, which sort of it's a demo, games in development.
Yeah.
Totally
that was also the original version of Disco Elysium, right? It didn't launch with everything voiced, but I know what you mean. It's like too much of it is voiced in this, and then the random chunks.
Well, it's just the difference in Disco is that the first lines of many characters were voiced.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah, this felt inconsistent.
Yes.
I think it's just because
probably
it's
just
not
a demo thing.
Well, they're probably rewriting stuff all the time.
Yeah.
You know
I think what I was
to,
saying, like the text and the voice doesn't line up, so they're probably changing a lot of stuff.
Agreed. Yeah, there were a few moments where it didn't line up, and that to me didn't bother me because I was like, this is a demo. I get it. They're working on the game. It's not their first priority to like.
It's just distracting. Okay.
It is fucking distracting. Yeah, it's weird. Like the hotel like introduction. I thought you were an authority figure, even though spy has meaningful differences from a cop. I saw an article talking about that like it's sort of the inverse of a cop, where a cop sort of shows up and loudly announces themselves to impose authority, whereas a spy shows up and sort of like you don't want to reveal that you're a spy. It's sort of a bizarre inverse authority figure where the only point, it's like a critical mass that you have to reach before you impose authority as a spy, whereas you may use lethal force more freely if you're we're like a top agent at a government, but like until it reaches that point, you're like, yeah, I'd like sell socks or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like, it's too parallel. If you wanted to make something that doesn't, if it just feels referential to Disco Elysium, not even like it's doing like a Disco Elysium cover. It just feels like they can't escape the shadow of it. And to me, that's a weird thing because I think that is the sort of known quantity when you're doing the difficult sophomore album. Even if you are even if you're a band and you're all the same members and you're releasing the second album, it's like, all right, we got to think about that first album. What did we do right? All right, now how can we like replicate that creative process, but in a new way, in a way that doesn't feel referential to that? But then if you switch out most of the band members, then all of a sudden you're like, all right, what did those guys do? All right, well, we can't do that. Let's do like the same thing with a different coat of paint. It just feels so weird to me that they would make these decisions that are so parallel.
Yeah, and the exact same thing is so.
And in my head, I was thinking, is this a send up? You know what I mean? Like, is there?
That's what I thought too.
Is there some way that maybe in like an hour into this game, it does an inversion? You know what I mean? Like, because it's hard, right? I think you have to pick a lane, right? You either have to like confront the elephant in the room head on, or as you said, do something that feels so unique that it doesn't sort of step on the toes of that thing. But it's not like I don't think it's doing the former.
Well, the confronting it head on, the confronting it head on thing is interesting too, because I gather from your conversation with Kurvitz that like that may be what their next game does in some capacity.
Yes,
that they're working with these themes. I mean, how could you not? It's like it's such a fucking huge event in your life. But I feel like to confront it from the other side is like it's fucking weird, because if you're the underdog, if you're, you know, not to say that like I'm trying to remain as like objective as possible in this analysis, but like even if you don't take sides, it's like Kurvitz et al. Were people who built this world, built this game, built these characters, brought it up, you know, built it with a lot of other people very collaboratively, and then were forced out from it. So even if you watch the PMG doc and you're like, you think that they're the bad guys or whatever, or that like everyone's the bad guy, there is still some level on which at the end of the day, Zaum is a company who ended up owning the intellectual property built by like a countercultural group of weirdos. And then those weirdos were forced out. And so I feel like the only people who can really do the like elephant in the room version of like confronting this with the sequel are like Kurvitz and Argo Tulik and people who were forced out of this thing. Whereas Zaum is like, even the people who work there who are, you know, because like I don't think that if you work at Zaum, you're like an evil monster, like mustache twirling villain. Yeah. Like that's ridiculous. 100%. I think that's like a reactionary take in the other direction, that you're like, oh, if you stayed, you're like a scab or whatever. Like finding creative jobs is fucking hard. Yeah. I get it. Like it sucks. I have done gigs for people that I thought sucked because I needed to pay my rent. It just happens. Like I fucking get it. And I think that there is a level on which you might be someone at Zaum who worked on Disco, maybe, or maybe you really liked Disco and admire it. And you're like, you know what? Like, I know this place has done some fucked up shit. And I know that like a lot of the original members aren't around, but like I can use this as a platform to build something important, that I can like work from the inside to, like, in the same way that, George Orwell came back from the Spanish Civil War and was like, I'm going to work for the BBC. And he's like, I'm like a socialist, but I'm going to like work inside the system because like someone's going to make this propaganda anyway. So like it might as well be me, and I'll like steer it in a better direction. And like, you know, maybe that's misguided of him, but I understand what he's saying and where he's coming from. And so in a similar parallel way, I think that you could work at Zaum and be like, I'm going to build something good here. I'm going to use this platform to like keep speaking truth to power, to keep making games about weirdos and underdogs and outcasts, and like, you know, keep talking about these things in a powerful way. I just think that like there's no way you can Disco is such an underdog story, and that's what makes it so special. And there's no way you can do a story like that as the company who like forced out all of these underdogs. And it's just, even if it was so different than Disco, it's like you can't tell a story like that within that, with that label on that like big Zaum scar on the fucking label of the bag of the box, you know?
Yeah, it's a shadow that is like so inescapable that like I'm surprised they didn't run as far away from it as possible. Absolutely. Or, you know, there was the spin-off, right, that got cancelled, which, you know, reportedly, you know, Argo was working on, that had like, you know, you playing as Kuno and Kuno S or something like that. Obviously, that in a way might have muddied the waters for some people, because at least it would have been a payday for Rostov and Kurvitz, because they have IP share. I assume that's how that works. I have absolutely no idea. They still own like, you know, whatever, collectively 40% of the Disco IP. So, you know, but yeah, I'm surprised they didn't run further away from that. But again, that might be, it's the nature of our Noclip work, is that like we don't know why, and what you do is you go and you find out, and you're like, was it bad? Is it management? Is it creative direction? Is it we tried to do something else? Is it the tech stack that we have to sort of sit on? Is this something that we just believe in? You know, and it's hard taking the game, you know, inertly, like in its own, you know, in a bubble, I guess. It is really well put together. It looks great. Yeah, the writing is good. Yeah. I'm interested in what's going on. If this was from any other studio under any other name and any, you know what I mean, without this, I'd be like, oh, this is really cool and interesting. The problem that has always been the case for any game Zao puts out is that the bar they have to reach to get over the baggage that is with this is so unbelievably high that maybe I'm a coward, but I would have left that studio immediately. And not even like as a sort of moral, like, you know, I respect the people who work there. I know there's, like you said, creative jobs are hard to come by. I think I don't know if this is great to have on your resume, around the games industry. You know, I go to DICE, I go to GDC, I talk to a lot of people. If they can pull it off, and I would be delighted if they did. If they made this game something incredible and special that had its own feeling and vibe and doesn't feel derivative and doesn't feel like it's sleepy or easy or whatever, I will stand up and clap my hands. I want nothing more for that to be the case. But it just seems so toxic that I'm actually really surprised that people are even trying. It's a fair play to them. Again, it's not a critique, but I cannot think, like we looked at, what was the game? Highguard, right? There are games that come out that seem to have the world against them. I cannot think of a game in the past 20 years that has had more against it before anything was shown than this game.
Yeah. And kind of like, it's like justifiably so. Like, I'm playing this demo, I was trying so hard to be like, all right, do I like this? Can I like this? Am I capable of liking this?
Am I allowed to like this?
And I do, because my greatest fear going into this is that I would play this and love it. Kind of.
Funny, right?
Really? All right.
Like, I was kind of terrified that I would play this and be like, oh no, it's like great. I don't think it is. I think it's, like I said, it's very competent. I just feel like it is so referential to Disco Elysium. I think that to play this game and enjoy it, you would have to be completely naive to Disco Elysium's existence, to the context in which this game was made, to the like horrible environment at Zaum, at the studio, that Argo Tulik has talked very openly about, that like even after Rostov and Helen Himper and Kurvitz were, you know, forced out or whatever, it still was a very toxic, paranoid environment, not a good creative environment. I think that, like, if you know anything about how the sausage was made or where this comes from or the like the heritage of the mechanics that they're using, it's just like it's fucking, the well is poisoned. And I think the only way you could enjoy this is if you knew nothing about where it came from.
And even if you knew nothing, I feel like I keep up, I watch the documentaries, I kept up with the PMG stuff, but I don't have like a horse in the race. I'm not
right
devoted to Kurvitz or anything. I don't follow the church. I'm not a clergyman myself. But I do appreciate their work, and I appreciate when creative people get the opportunity to bring their things to life. But I jumped into this with the same hopefulness, or well, maybe the opposite version of Jeremy's feeling of like, I hope I like this.
I think I was like that. I was like you, Jesse. I think I was like kind of hoping. I like chaos. So,
sure.
I like being like confronted with, like uncomfortable realities. Yeah. So I was like, I hope this is fucking great. But yeah, go on. Sorry.
No, I agree. Like, I wish for the people who remain at the studio and for the people who are in the unfortunate situation of like either being unemployed in a point in the industry where like finding a job is basically impossible.
Totally.
Or working on a game where you're basically making, the Judas version of a video game. You're stabbing your previous people in the back. How do you make something that works like that and like feel good about it? I was hopeful that they could pull it off. And I did not like what I played of the first 20 minutes of this game. And again, maybe in 2 hours in, it will be better, or there will be that turning point where I was like, this, I get it now. Okay, the thing has been turned, but I didn't like the structure of it. I didn't like the way it was presented writing wise. I think, again, it hurts itself because it like relies on you understanding how Disco Elysium works and not CRPGs as a whole. Like, there's so many bits of it where I was like, oh, you would only know why this matters if you've played Disco Elysium and you understand the way that game does storytelling in the exact way that this one is doing it.
And in your defense, demos do often live or die on their opening 5,
you gotta
10,
be hooky.
15, 20 minutes. Yeah. So it's, I get it. I think it's rough to, sort of try and summarize a game especially these types of games based on that, but that they didn't have to put a demo out. You know what I mean?
I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
Put a better 20 minutes in there. Give me a mission. Let me skip all the other stuff.
I do
like
think the opening is maybe the weakest part of it. I don't know. I enjoyed it more once I got out into the world and got to explore some of it.
I thought, like, I liked the idea of it being spy fiction. I thought that was promising. And that was the moment where I was like, oh no, I'm going to like this, aren't I? And then I was like, all right, well, I might as well just give myself over to it. But it felt like, this is a difficult thing to express. I alluded to this earlier, but the humor in Disco Elysium walks a very fine line where it is like the kind of joke where you have like an alcoholic friend who's clearly in trouble and they're doing like a self-deprecating joke and you're like, I'm not allowed to laugh at that because the thing you just said is horrible, but it is genuinely funny. Like you're cutting to the heart of a thing in a very real human way, and it is funny. But like in a way that's like an exposed wound. It felt like the moments where this game is trying to be funny felt forced. The moments where it's trying to be smart felt forced. The moments where it is trying to do things felt very forced to me. And it felt like an example was there when you're talking to the woman downstairs at the safe house. She you can say like, oh, I don't like want any money from you. And she said something like, oh, I've never met like a real post-materialist before.
Yeah.
And to me, that was a very telling moment because I think when there are pieces of like jargon or bespoke lexicon in Disco Elysium, they feel like you can feel the depth and the texture of them. Like Kurvitz talks about this, that Disco Elysium was this, it's not just a game, it's a world building project. It is a role-playing games within the world of Elysium are sort of little slices, little vertical slices outside of a larger world building project. And you can feel the depth and the texture and the history. It's like this Hegelian project of layering fake history, fictional history rather. And I think that when Zero Parades tries to feel like Disco Elysium in that way, it comes off as very pseudo-intellectual to me because it like when she said, oh, you're like I've never met a real post-materialist, it felt to me, instead of feeling like Disco or feeling like someone who reads a lot of communist literature or feeling like Hegel or feeling like Marx, it felt to me like when Jordan Peterson says, oh, they're like the post, what was this thing? The post, fuck, I can't remember. It's been so long since Jordan Peterson has been relevant.
You shouldn't remember any words he said to begin with. Define materialist.
From eating steak every day for 15 years.
He's had too much raw milk. Yeah.
I think he's hanging on somewhere. No, but anyway, he would often use jargon to sound smart, and it meant fucking nothing, is what my point is.
Yeah, there was, so on that level, on the writing, there was a couple of things like that 100% with me too. There is a sugar and like, there's a spoonful of sugar with a lot of the way in which the original Disco Elysium communicates those concepts, I think. One thing that came up, just because you mentioned it there and it kind of reminded me, one person I interviewed about Robert said one of the things that he's really good at is speaking to the everyman, that like he's able to talk about these complex things in a way that not only is like understandable, but like is memorable. And the other side of that, I think, is humor. And I did find this to be not funny.
It was so dry
in any way. Yeah. And I think I hadn't even really considered in a while how much humor is important to that game, or like that sort of, like you said, uncomfortable absurdist humor of like, do I pull the boot off this dead guy? You know what I mean? Like it's like a sickening dark humor that exists through a lot of it. It also didn't help when I went and played Esoteric Ebb right afterwards, which is fucking hilarious.
I bet.
So yeah, I agree. I'm not, Jeremy is the Communist Manifesto reading intellectual in the chat here. So like, I'm not going to stay. He's referencing Hegel and shit. But even to my sort of like, lay person's ears, a lot of this stuff just didn't have it. And when it doesn't land and you've played Disco, it sounds like a bum note. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
It sounds like somebody slipped on the piano. And I think again, it's that constant shadow of that other game that's sitting there. It's really hard to play this and not compare it. It's like whenever I'd played like a new Pro Evolution Soccer, you cannot play that game and not be thinking about what FIFA is. You know what I mean? You're constantly comparing Battlefield, Call of Duty. There are some games out there that are sort of intertwined with each other in a critic's mind or a player's mind. And that's removing the history and the baggage from the equation, which I don't think most players will, you know?
Yeah, I mean, again, just to drive the point home, I just think that they're not doing. If they wanted people to play this and not think of disco, they made literally the opposite decision in almost every instance to facilitate that experience. Even the narrator's cadence, the woman who does the narration is doing the fucking lizard brain voice from the original from Disco, like the guy who does he talks like this, they're super under his breath.
At the risk of beating a dead horse, the thing that I think is crazy is 0 parades for Dead Spies, no truce with the Furies.
Yeah, totally. Also, in one of the early
original title for Disco.
In one of the early 0 parades trailers, the for Dead Spies part of the subtitle was like rotating through different things, and I can't remember.
Oh yeah, they're all like
it said. But one of them to me read as a slight against the departed Zaum members who were forced out, and I can't remember the wording for it. But it was like 0 parades for it was like controlling artists or like aggrieved artists.
Oh, really?
It was something like that. Ooh. And I'm trying to remember off the top. There's been a couple trailers. I'll have to pull it up at some point. But
keep riffing. I'm clicking through now.
Okay, Jesse, do the research. I'll explain my thoughts. I feel like you don't have room to be like fucking sour grapes about this. It's what we said earlier. Like, you're not the underdog. You're working for the evil corporation. You're Joja Corp in Stardew Valley.
I am sure there are lots of people who feel like they are the underdog at that. Not lots of people. I don't want to say that. I'm sure there are some people who feel that way because, and this isn't me justifying it, because they have landed on the wrong side of a court of public opinion, because they haven't made any money and Kurvitz has. And Rostov has, and they now run a studio that has reportedly, gotten an investment in the 7 figures from Nexon. So I'm sure there are, people who are struggling to pay their bills, working in a really difficult office situation, and have people on the internet screaming at them. Yeah. And it must be hard. It would be hard not to feel a victim in that situation. But also, if that is the house that you have built around yourself, then perhaps you should open the door and walk out. Right?
You got asbestos in the wall, brother. Just move.
Yeah. And again, this is I'm not pointing fingers at any one person. I'm talking somewhat hypothetically, but I bet they do. I bet there are people that feel that way.
Yeah. No, I think that is totally valid. I just think that it's I don't know. I'm trying to think of a parallel and I'm struggling to come up with one, but it's like if you like work for the Pinkertons and you're like all those miners who are on strike, they like threw a rock and it hit me in the face. And it's like, well, yeah, but like you work for the Pinkertons. So like,
did you see that one with the ICE agent? They hurt themselves on the job, but then their insurance hadn't been like set up properly by Homeland Security or whatever. And they had to pay for their like broken toe out of pocket. And it's like,
poor guy.
Fucking boo-hoo, motherfucker.
Yeah. Good thing you got that $50,000 signing bonus, dumbass. Right.
Oh, yeah, and loads of them hadn't gotten that yet either.
Oh, good.
Like,
Yeah, I'm
not saying that people who work at Zaum are fucking racist. That's not what I'm saying.
That's an important clarification. I have a quote from Argo Tulik from when he left Zaum here that I think is relevant to read definitely before we move on from this. It's the people on top, the motherfuckers in sailing shoes and bow ties that fucked Harry, fucked Kim, fucked Robert, Rostov, Helen, Olga, Cash, fucked Elysium, fucked you and me too. They're not artists, they are professional fuckers, he said. The mask has slipped from the face of capital. What remains at Zaum is a cold, careless company where managers wage war against their own creatives, where artistry is second to property, and where corporate strategy is formed by an arrogant disdain for their own audience. And so I think that, like, at end quote here, this is me now. I think that the problem is that even the purest intention within that sort of structure, like if you are someone who's like, I'm going to buy this game anyway, because like I want to play it and I want more disco, even if it's like shitty, even if it's Temu Disco Elysium, it's like your money is still going to the people who fucked over the thing you love. I do not think you should buy this game. I'm not going to buy this game. And I don't know. I can't tell anyone else what to do. I don't think people should buy this game.
This podcast is turning into lists of games to not buy.
Yeah. And another thing.
Can I just say, this is like, it takes something for us to be mean about a game. Like, you know what I mean? Sure. Like I think, and I don't, like you said, I feel very similar to Jeremy in many respects. I don't think it's, I think people have produced a piece of software, a game that I will say that it did actually crash 20 minutes in the first time I played it, didn't save, and I had to restart it. So that wasn't great. But hey, I did my due diligence. I went and played the fucking demo twice. I didn't complete it. I think it's like long enough. I think it's like 3 or 4 hours or something.
Oh my God.
And I wonder why they did a demo. I wonder if it's wish lists. I wonder if it's just trying to build identity. Zero Parade's posts have been banned on the Disco Elysium subreddit. There is a Zero Parade subreddit that does not have that many members in there.
That's such a weird vibe. It's the fucking
everything about this.
Community.
I feel bad for everyone except the leadership of that studio.
Those are like is there like a subreddit for people who are like, when Nestle is buying up all the water rights for all the private water sources in the world, they're like, I actually think it's like not that, because like we'll get it all in nice bottles.
I also
Anyone else love destroying local ecologies?
It's like, I hate drinking out of the tap. It tastes like metal and pennies.
What's that about?
I hope whoever works at that studio has worked on this game goes on to have great careers wherever they are.
Yes.
Yep.
I feel terrible. I also feel like the house has been burning for a while and it's time probably to jump. Or hey, I would love to be wrong. I would love for this game to be great and find its audience and fair play. Although I will say, as Jeremy said, there is a very bitter pill to swallow there, in that who ultimately that money is going to, not the people who made the game, the people who own the studio.
I hope the staff get paid. The fucking game crashes and burns, and they get to go on and do something cooler away from Zone.
And they don't get laid off at the end, because that's what's going to.
Yes.
Does Occam's razor work if you're projecting it forward? The most likely outcome of this, I guess, is
Occam's
that
spyglass.
Right. Yes, exactly. Occam's crystal ball is that, unfortunately, is that if this game does not sell,
now hold on. Even if the game does well, they will still might fire.
They fired 25% of the studio when the last game was cancelled. If this game doesn't sell well, they will probably have to fire the studio. And then what happens? It's going to be the leadership who own the IP. A lot of disco fans will say, good, because then that means maybe they'll sell it. I'm not saying that. I don't want people to have to suffer for any of that stuff to go on at all. But
I would rather have no more Disco Elysium than have like 100 people lose their fucking jobs.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And I don't know how many people are still working.
I think it's around 100 is what they said, because there was an interview with I think it was Jim Ashley Levy. I read a bunch of articles last night, so apologies if I'm misattributing this quote, but they were saying that they don't want Zaum to become AAA, and that they're like happy with the level it was at, and that it increased from like I think 75 to about 100, and they'd brought on people from like Rocksteady and Bungie and stuff.
Was this before 25% of them were caught after the expansion was canceled, when Argo and...
This was after Argo was already out. Yeah, I believe.
Yeah. So, and they did the mobile port last year.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything else going on, but yeah, if it's such a awful thing, and it's just makes me feel bad just talking about it, right?
Yeah,
isn't it?
It sucks.
It sucks, and I feel bad for everyone who's caught up in the maelstrom of this thing, either who was or currently is.
Can I read thing you were talking about earlier, by the way, Jeremy, about the trailer at the end?
Yes.
It flickered a bunch of names.
It?
Oh, yeah, it was the Gamescom trailer. So there were a couple of them that popped up. The first one that pops up as the trailer concludes is Zero Parades for, I want to make sure I say the exact right thing, Fake Radicals is the first one.
Yes, that was the one that might be the one that pissed me off the most.
Probably. Well, the one after that is Failed Poets, and then Junkie Diplomats, Ex-Bankers, Fake Radicals, and then Dead Spies. Crazy set of words to put there right after you reveal the next game from that studio.
The banker one is like, that's Yomar Compass or whatever, right?
I don't know. Yeah,
I just feel like they're throwing shade at everyone, and it's kind of just like, I don't know, it rings fucking hollow to me, man.
Yeah.
You're still working for the evil company. There was one last thing I wanted to touch upon before we move on from this. There was a quote from, God, I have so many quotes here. I think, again, this was Jim Ashley Levy. I read like 7 articles last night. As a studio, we still view ourselves pretty much as a collective of artists, he explains. The artistry comes first, the storytelling comes first. To me personally, it still feels like the whole video game development side of things is just like a happy accident. And I wanted to bring this up because I think this is an interesting, very nuanced distinction for me. I think it was Jim Ashley Levy. Here, I can Google the quote, and he was most of the quotes I pulled last night. One of the lead writers on Zero Parades.
Okay.
Here, it's Power Comic Books and Zero Parades for Dead Spies is the name of the, it's Jim Ashley Levy. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing. I say all the time that I think that people who make games need to be more inspired by things that are not games. Yep, I think that is very important. I think that a lot of the best games in history were things that were not inspired by games. Zelda was fucking inspired by mucking around in caves as a kid.
Touching grass,
Yeah, by touching grass, literally. And I think that a lot of stagnation, especially in AAA games, from my perspective, I think it comes from games trying to make games inspired by games for gamers. It's just like this incestuous games making games inspired by games. I think that this quote shows me the other limit of that, which is that I think that the original Disco Elysium came from such a sincere place of love and admiration for the medium of video games that like it was like an expression of things that were non-gamey. It was an expression of these tabletop sessions, but the way that even in the Noclip Disco doc, you can see that the way that like Rostov and Kurvitz talk about these old games, the way that Rostov talks about like Fallout and playing like games on the computer that his mom had for work when he was a kid, like it comes from such a sincere place of admiration for games and what games can do and why games are special. And I think that this quote really rubbed me the wrong way because I was like, Jim Ashley Levy, from my brief research, is someone who comes from a theater background, and I think that that's cool to bring in someone from outside of games. But I was like,
yeah, what was the game we were talking about?
1,000 Times Resist.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
From a bunch of performing artists. Yeah.
But those people made a game because they were like, games are fucking powerful and games can do things that no other medium can do. And this quote to me speaks for like a sort of like disdain or disregard for games. And I don't know if that's the intention or not, but it really rubbed me the wrong way. And I think that it just
kind of arrogant or something about like the power of writing in games, where it's like Disco Elysium was well written, but like without the game part, you don't feel the connection with the character in that way.
Yes,
or you
totally.
Don't,
yeah, that's what makes games special is agency, interactivity, and non-linearity. These are things that like can be explored in other media, but in a degraded way or in an incomparable way. And I think that it reminds me of the old Marshall McLuhan thing, that the medium is the message.
So
that like
true.
the medium contains itself. The media are not a blank canvas, that they contain within them certain potentialities and certain flavors and texture, that even before one stroke of paint is on the canvas, there is still some sort of like a priori texture to it. And I think that this quote for me expresses sort of the same thing I was alluding to earlier, a lack of being deeply enmeshed in and a lack of understanding of what you're stepping up to the plate to do, in terms of like the historical precedent, in terms of like the historical context for a lot of the things that Disco touches on, and in terms of like the medium of video games and why video games are special and why Disco Elysium is a video game and not a fucking book.
True.
All right.
Wait, if you're going to ask questions, Danny, ever to this team, and you get the chance, I want you to ask so badly why they open this game with the dead character you find in the apartment or whatever, the zeroed out character you find in the apartment. Why does he look like Kim Kitsuragi and Harry fused together?
Point.
Why does he look like that? Why does he also have his pants off and he's wearing underwear and nothing else? Why did they do that?
He has his pants off.
Oh my God, you're right. He's like
glasses.
He's like a dead Harry Kim hybrid.
Yeah. Why did they do that? Why did they do that? I just want to know why they did that.
To me, that's like the fucking no Zero Parades for fake radicals or whatever, where it's like, you can't throw shade at the guy who was like forced out of the company, even if it's not black and white.
Dude, it was crazy when you walked out of the apartment, there's a dead guy named Robert Kurvitz on the wall. What was that? Just like strung up. What was going on there?
And he was crucified too. I thought that was really weird.
Yeah. We need to end this because I am attempting to be not magnanimous. I feel like even-handed with regards to critiques of this game. Jeremy, I'm very glad you're here to sort of speak to perhaps elements of my id that I am trying to be
I got you.
fair about. But the more we talk about it, the more I'm wondering if I'm giving him too much credit, or maybe you're right. Like that. Now that you mention it, that character is a bit. That is a bit of a yellow flag, at least in my mind. Yeah.
Don't open with that.
In the immortal words of Streetlight Manifesto, after their singer was forced out of the ska band Catch-22, who then kept playing songs that he wrote, and I quote, like a child who believes he was wronged, if you hate me so much, then stop singing my songs.
Ooh. Oh, all right. We're dropping. Jeremy dropped some bars and we're going to move on.
Ska reference, motherfucker.
Wow. Ska is art, finally. 0 praise for Dead Spies. You can check out the demo on Steam. The game does not have a release date, I do not think, other than 2026. Yeah, on the Steam page. So watch this space, I guess, for updates on that. We talked for an hour about that. There was
a lot on.
We got a lot of shit to say. All right,
it's wild. And I think appropriately, we will now turn our eyes to Esoteric Ebb. So Esoteric Ebb is a game that we talked about last year. I played the demo. Did you guys play it at all?
No, I was waiting for the whole thing.
Yeah, same.
Okay, we're staying
came out today. I'm buying it tonight.
So this is a game by Christopher Beauregard. It is a wearing its heart on its sleeve CRPG inspired by Disco Elysium. Predominantly, I would say, in the way that it handles dialogue and your skills. Your skills talk to you, but to whatever the opposite of the word derivative is, this is what Esoteric Ebb is. Esoteric Ebb has its own flavor. It's pulling a lot from disco, but it's also pulling a lot from sort of traditional Dungeons and Dragons role playing. You play as a cleric who wakes up in a mortuary, which is very game that inspired Disco Elysium. Jeremy, help me.
Oh, Planescape Torment.
Planescape Torment, very Planescape Torment. And you appear in this esoteric D&D world, I would call it, because the fantasy universe that this game conjures up, and the demo is basically the start of the game. So I've been replaying the demo essentially, just with like better, finished menus and stuff like that. The fantasy world that it conjures up is not just like, copy and paste D&D. It's its own weird sort of fantastical version of it. It's like a sort of like a cartoon, Adult Swim kind of version of a fantasy world. The writing I have adored. Lots of short sentences, so it's very economical in its writing. Very funny. Your skills are really important. The game is sort of a game within a game to a certain extent, where there is a dungeon master who is kind of like, it's fourth wall breaky at times, and also how you're sort of, almost like Futurama and The Simpsons kind of are, where they're almost poking fun at their own reality to a certain extent, and how sort of silly and absurd it is. The gameplay also extends into this. Like at one stage early in the demo in the game, you can pick up a ruined magic book which gives you -3 intelligence. It's just there's a cobalt security guard in the store at the start that you can just keep staring at forever, like something out of a Monkey Island game joke. The zombies in this world are freed slaves that because they used to be, just like forced to work, and now they have rights. The whole thing takes place in this city where a tea shop has been blown up. It's a terrorist attack attempting to stop the first ever democratic elections in this city, which are happening in 5 days. You also get to vote yourself in that. You pick up your voting card at the start, and you have to pick your allegiance without knowing what anyone does. I accidentally basically picked the neoliberals, so all about free market.
Accidentally,
hoping the guilds don't make a big deal about it, when we open up trade with the nearest cities.
Did you say you're trying to stop the first democratic election?
No, sorry, that was
happening?
what the terrorist attack is.
Okay.
So you have to investigate what happened with the terrorist attack. And you run into just a cabal of interesting characters, gorgeously drawn. I cannot talk enough about the art style. This game is just, all of the sort of imagination of like a Hades to like a Gen Z, the artist, not the generation, Jennifer Z, sort of creativity, the way the dialogue pops, the snappiness of the UI. The UI is, last year was a great year for interfaces. We talked a lot about that. Mm-hmm. The interface for this is just so beautiful. It just pops in and overlays over the action. It's really something else. And the writing is great. I haven't played past the demo yet at this stage, but I'm super excited to. I think... I was optimistic about this when I played the demo, but again, it was a hard game to play without Disco Elysium in the back of your head and thinking, all right, how derivative is this? The text is coming up on the right of the screen and your skills are talking to you and all this sort of stuff. I actually think the intro to the game, especially with the character builder and all that sort of stuff, the game even gives you like a text intro that's about the character you built. It has little winks. Like it was like, wow, your dexterity is not too high. Don't try and, steal anything or, things like that.
Yeah.
This game is wearing its influence on its sleeve, but it is so its own thing. It feels a lot more like a self-aware, comedic, and then gameplay wise, it's more D&D. It's lots more dice rolls, lots of the, kind of like Disco in terms of like the objects that you have on your inventory give you bonus points and things like that. But just in its execution, it's it feels a very like 1 foot in Dungeons and Dragons, 1 foot in Disco, and then the actual gloss over the top of it is just entirely, even in that way, we've seen a lot of these Mobius-ass looking games, right?
Yeah.
This game
totally.
is clearly somewhat inspired in that direction, but it's not gone whole hog. It's not just attempted to ape or copy that. It's sort of between that and like, we were talking, I think, on last week's podcast, maybe, or maybe in the Advent Children Patreon podcast we did on Noclip this month, we were talking about dyes and how there were only certain colors that people could use. Yeah. It almost feels like this game has like it's not 256, but it has a somewhat restricted color palette, and those colors are so vibrant that they sort of remind me of like medieval dyes or something like that. It really looks great, and very interested in what people will have to think of it. I think it's gotten good reviews as well.
Yeah, it seems really positive. A lot of people are enjoying it. I think Jason Schreier said it was good, so that means I'll like it. We seem to have a overlap in taste for some strange reason. But you made a point about this game that I think Disco Elysium sort of taps into as well. And I wonder how much of this is Esoteric Ebb sort of following in the footsteps, or if it's a smart observation of what it's like playing D&D. Because the thing with the skills talking to you, I always found to be like a really smart way of reinterpreting the act of playing a tabletop role-playing game with a good DM. Like with somebody who knows that maybe you don't understand how to play these games yet, you don't understand the rules as they've written them, and they take the time to go like whisper in your ear, like, hey, your dexterity is this, maybe this reveals this about your character, and making that part of the game, not just in a way where like you have to be considerate of it, but they find a way to communicate with the player and emulate the space of being able to do anything, the freedom that you get from playing those games while still working within the confines of making a video game. Like, how do you represent that to the player? And I think leaning in on the D&D aspects of it for this is great, because if we're honest, most people who play D&D don't really want to be doing the combat part of D&D anyway. Right. They want the conversations to feel like they're having some sort of interaction with a set of systems. And these games do a great job of pulling that off. So I'm excited to see how Esoteric Ebb, it's kind of hard to say, pulls that off. But just the way you're saying it, the fact that they found that same through line and like found a way to do it that doesn't seem exactly the same way as Disco Elysium from the way you're talking about it, that's exciting to me. That's great to see somebody sort of understand how that works within their own world.
Yeah, that's a really, really good observation, because you're right. Like, the gameplay and the setting of this game justifies the Disco Elysium-ness of it. You know what I mean? Like it is additive to the experience because it actually makes sense. Like you said, like, you know, for someone who hasn't played the game, you've basically nailed it, Jesse, that like the act of playing this game is very much like the game is outwardly telling you at the start and also encouraging you through the skills to play weird, like do weird things, like try a dice roll, you know, after you have a nap, there are locked dice rolls, but after you have a nap, you can give it another go. The game takes place over a number of days, and there's a sort of a resetting element that goes on there. Like it is trying to do the DM thing of getting you to do interesting things, not just like being scared about the decisions you're making all the time, which is obviously a difficult thing to do in a lot of games, especially a game that is ultimately about a mystery that you're trying to solve. You don't want to fuck it up, right?
Right.
But the game is so weird and funny, and the characters you meet, again, it feels like a Futurama episode. You're just bumping into these weirdos and these.
When I saw it for the first time, your Matt Groening comparison makes perfect sense, because the first time I saw a trailer for this, I was like, this kind of feels like a Disenchantment video game.
Oh, 100%. You're right, actually. Yeah, even the art shows.
Yeah, so did Matt Groening. It did not end well. That is not a good show. The final couple seasons.
Yeah, exactly. Like that type of vibe and look to it. Yeah. So yeah, it's got 87% on Metacritic at the moment. Hopefully people are checking it out. I think it only came out today, technically. Yeah, it did. So hopefully it finds an audience. But yeah, if you're interested, like I would even go and say that, like, you know, games like Disco, people are worried about lots of reading and stuff like that. This to me feels more like adventure game levels of reading. It's not, you know, like it's more gameplay leaning than Disco is, for sure. And not to, you know, dig up the corpse we just buried in some ways, but it's really unfortunate, I think, that these games came out at the same time. It's probably fortunate for Esoteric Ebb that the demo for Zero Parades came out, because it is such, like, as a double feature, it is just like, again, this is probably me trying to just like take, you know, blunt my knife a little bit, but as a purely academic exercise, it is fascinating to play these games back to back and to see the ways in which one feels more derivative than the other, despite the studio's name being on the original. It is bizarre. Like, it is, we live in a topsy-turvy world, and I would suggest, if people are interested, you know, check out the Zero Parades demo if you're interested in that. If people like Disco, if people like games that have great gameplay, interesting stories, funny, doing something different, Esoteric Ebb seems like a real good time.
It doesn't have. It really doesn't help Zero Parade's perspective and relative release of the demo and the game to Esoteric Ebb that Argo Tulloch, is that?
I was just about to read this. Yeah.
Okay.
Talking about sharpening the knife. I mean, Argo hasn't
I'll bring it back in.
Any opportunity to dunk on Zaum, he's taken. Right.
He's taken it. But the fact that he said this about Esoteric Ebb, it's easily the most exciting game Disco has inspired. One that transcends imitation and stands strong on its own. Oh my God, I can't read today. Haven't been this impressed by a game since I played Pathologic 2.
Oh, wow.
A game that Jeremy said is the greatest game ever made.
Which is the game I've been most impressed by since I played Disco Elysium.
There you go. Wow. Are you Argo Tulloch? I
feel like me and Argo should smoke a fat one someday.
Yeah. Didn't he say something along the lines of Disco Elysium, spiritual successors take note, or something like that? I think I saw that somewhere.
Take notice, Disco likes, this is how you spiritually succeed.
There you go.
Yeah. It is bizarre, especially because Esoteric Ebb is like this little scrappy project, and Zaum has a big staff with like a guy from Bungie and like Rocksteady. I think like that, to me, that we talked about this a little bit when we were talking about, I think we might have been off air, but when we were talking about Final Fantasy and how Advent Children and Final Fantasy 7 have these like different flavors.
It was in our meeting yesterday. Yeah.
If you want to make more Disco Elysiums, you don't hire a bunch of like competent people to like pick up the mantle of this project and continue it and study it and understand it. You hire more like outcast weirdos who make art, right? And I think that like if you want more like Final Fantasy VIIs, you don't hire like a bunch of super like I'm like an experienced manager. I've managed these projects. I've like shipped 4 games. You hire like a guy who's like like follows like eco-terrorism or like is in like a signal group for eco-terrorists. Who you've hired like Luigi Mangioni's lawyer or something to write that game.
I know what you mean, but not hire a lawyer.
That's not the lawyer, but maybe you hire Luigi Mangione.
Just hire Luigi Mangione straight up. Fuck it. Just
I don't
bring
think he's
him in.
available.
Is he allowed? Are you allowed to moonlight when you're in prison?
If you can make rap albums in prison, I'm pretty sure you're allowed to make video games.
Rap albums and license plates for 5 cents a day.
Wait, Luigi Mangione is a game dev too. He worked.
Yes, that's right. He worked at Firaxis.
He worked at Firaxis.
I forgot.
Yeah. Can we get him on the pod?
Yes, please.
No.
Yeah, we can.
I'm gonna write him a letter.
He shot a guy.
I edited.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Allegedly.
You know how many criminals work in the games industry?
Allegedly, he's doing a lot of work.
Hey, he fixed my car. All right. Good.
You know who else shot a guy? John Brown. Sorry,
is that the guy that runs Game Maker's Toolkit?
No, John Brown is the guy. John Brown is the guy who shot a bunch of slave owners and then tried to start a slave revolution by taking over Harper's Ferry.
You hear that? Danny O'Dwyer doesn't want to talk to that guy. Yeah.
Listen,
let's get Trump on. He assassinated the Ayatollah.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
He did it.
Based.
Bring him on.
All you Shawheads.
That's a joke. That's a joke.
What up, Shawheads?
Or my Khomeini
Let's not get
fans
into Iran. There's already enough Americans there.
Oh,
disgusting.
There's a lot of zingers on this. Yeah, fucked up.
Anyway, that's Esoteric Ebb. It's $24.99, 10% off at the moment. So it's $22.49 in your American dollars in greenbacks. Christopher Beauregard.
Christophe Fatui worked on that?
I thought that's what was coming too.
Christophe. I keep saying because I had a friend, a French friend when I was a child called Christopher, but I called him Christophe. So my brain keeps going back there. Just out today, published by Raw Fury. Good job, all. Yeah. Hopefully, people go enjoy that and check that out. Jesse, please tell us about the Legend of Khiimori. Is it a disco-like?
Yeah, there's a text on the right-hand side of the screen, and this was made by people who... No, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, Legend of Khiimori is a third-person adventure game, I guess, if you want to go there. I don't know. It's a game about delivering stuff. You're a courier in 13th century Mongolia, and you ride a horse around these different locations. I heard about this game because a couple of years ago... a consultant for a bunch of video games from Switzerland called their name is Alice Rupert was posting about this idea for a game where there's like no combat. It's a big open world adventure and you're riding around on horses.
I remember this. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. There was a big conversation about this, and Alice sort of did the rounds of like talking to a bunch of different journalists and doing interviews about what's wrong with horses in video games and like what people get wrong about animating them, about the mechanics of moving around on them and steering them. I thought it was all super interesting. I'm not a big horse guy. I'm not gonna, whatever. But Red Dead Redemption 2, everyone was talking about the horse nuts, and I was like, there's something more interesting we could talk about these horses. It was cool to see Alice talking about that stuff. You're right. That is the number one most important thing about any horse is they're nuts. But then this game gets announced, and I'm like, oh, cool. I actually do like the idea of a courier video game. There's a side quest chain in Dead Island 2? No, Dead. Okay. Oh, my God. What's the Dead Island spinoff? No.
Dead.
Oh, my God. Whatever. They did a spinoff at some point with Techland. Dying Light 2.
Light.
Yes. Yeah. God. The names are close enough.
Spin-off's a bit reductive, but
yeah,
sure.
I guess so. Yeah, they're both zombie games in first person.
They're all spin-offs of Dawn of the Dead in the end.
Yeah, they're all spin-offs of Dracula if you think about it hard enough. Are they? Yeah, there's a quest chain in that where you are playing as a postal worker, basically. You like deliver mail to a bunch of people. And I thought that was going to be boring. And then I did it and I really liked it. And I think the part of what I liked about it is like the stories that you get to tell along the way of like maneuvering between spaces and like the challenges that come from reaching people to do what are ultimately pretty mundane tasks. Legend of Khiimori, sorry. I keep saying Khiimori, but it's Khiimori. You are playing as that same kind of courier character. You're going between locations with like basic tasks of like, go deliver this item. And at first I was like, this feels a little underbaked. It is an early access, so it's a very early version of the game. It has bugs. It's a little glitchy. At one point when I did a mission, there was an animal that I have to stop with an item. There's like usable items that you have, and the animal just like ran in the air on the same plane that it was. It didn't like stick on the ground. It was just funny visually. But that's the goal, essentially, is to go between locations and deliver stuff from tasks that are given to you by NPCs. Now, the thing about it that makes it stand out, and what I like so much about it and why I wanted to bring it, is like the horse stuff is so good. I wasn't expecting to like the horse stuff as much as I do, but it's really fun. So the horse as a like vehicle works that you have 2 saddlebags, one on each side. And the saddlebags have their own weight based on the items that you have inside of them.
Is this a Strand-like?
You know what? I feel like I really need to play Death Stranding.
Strand game?
The more games I play, the more I'm like, I like this so much. This sounds like Death Stranding. I should probably just play that. But it really leans on that. Like your weight determines your balance. You could tip over. You have to be considerate of the terrain that you're moving on. If you crash, it damages the items in your inventory. I know I'm saying a lot of the same words. I know I'm saying a lot of the same words.
Can you throw piss grenades?
Unfortunately, no. You do throw shit grenades though. Actually,
oh my god,
that's not a joke. You pick up animal shit and you can make like a repellent for different beasts. There's like wolves that try to attack you and stuff. It's really, I guess, not subtle. I don't understand the depth to which the comparison would be fair, but I've heard a lot of the same ideas come across. And it's working really well for me. I think the perspective of this environment, it being this low tech place, I find to be a little bit more enjoyable, at least like for me to approach it right away. I do like sci-fi stuff, so I'm sure I'll end up liking Death Stranding. I'll play it at some point, I promise. But this is working really well for me. I really like the horse stuff. The breeding is the funniest thing, though, to me. So part of the game here, I think their big focus is like, there's all these different environments that you can go to. Like there's snowy areas, there's a desert style area. I'm not super far into it. It launched today, like 4 hours before we started recording. So I think I played like 2.5 hours. But I've gotten to the top of this snowy mountain, and it took me a really long time. And I was like, this sucks. I feel like I should have a horse that doesn't lose health as much. Your horse has health, but it's like it also has stamina, and it all goes down based on the environment that you're in. If you're in the cold, their stamina goes down faster.
You gotta feed it, all that stuff.
You gotta feed it. You gotta take care of its mood. It gets sad if it's dirty. You gotta pet it sometimes. You gotta feed it a bunch. Yeah, get it water.
Same, bro. Same.
Yep. I need people to pet me and brush me, or I'm gonna be sad. And I got to the top, and I was like, I feel like my horse is not the right horse to be doing this. I should probably have a horse that's like good at snow. So you can pull up the menu and look at their traits, and the horse will have like cold resist. You know, all horses have this as a trait. But I got a little too far into it, and there's a gene pool you can look at. You can see they sequence the genome of this character. It's the second eugenics game of 2026.
Oh my God.
They finally did it.
A month. We're on come on, April.
Come on, you can do it. What's Raw Fury Publishing that has a eugenics system in it? Maybe there's something later in Esoteric Ebb. But yeah, like you can see the turn radius of the horses. You can see like their carrying capacity. It's very strange.
Can you change the color of their hair and eyes?
I don't think you can change that stuff manually, but you can breed the horses.
Yeah.
There is a little tent back in the starting village that you get your missions from mostly. And in that village, the tent has like drapes on it, and then it's just like a little heart icon tent on it. Yeah, basically, you put them in there, and then eventually you get a foal.
Jesse, just as an aside, did you see Horsey Game?
What is Horsey Game?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right, I'm Googling.
There are a lot of horse games on Steam. I just want to say that.
Yeah, but not horses.
A Horsey Game is a game that came out last month that is a
oh my gosh,
very low fidelity horse.
It's like QWOP.
Yeah, it does have a QWOP-like quality to the
This
racing.
looks like some fucking Northern Line shit.
I don't watch Northern Line, but I would literally bet $10,000 he's played it.
Yeah, you would win $10,000 because the first thing I saw was a clip of him playing it.
Okay, well there we go. Yeah, this is a horse breeding, racing, and it has like genome sequence kind of stuff in it. So I feel like this is the new thing.
The art was done in MS Paint though. In this one.
Yeah. Legend of Khiimori looks a little better.
I would like to pitch the next eugenics real quick, and I'm not going to make this because I don't feel comfortable with it. But if you're an aspiring game developer with a nothing to lose reputationally, this is what you do. You make a game. It's called Company
Maybe you've
Town.
been working at Zaum for the past few years.
Maybe you need a fresh
sorry,
start.
it was right there. I couldn't do it. I couldn't. I'm sorry. It was such a soft lob.
It's called Company Town. It functions a lot like any of these other games where you're breeding cats, you're breeding horses, but instead you're breeding the ultimate Amazon warehouse workers to staff your warehouse. And it's called Company Town.
Brutal. I like
pay
that.
Pay them in script.
You pay them in script.
I mean,
How
if
good are
ever
they
there
at
was a
storing
company
piss?
that could pay people in script,
Yeah.
it would be the company that sells everything, basically.
You could get everything you need. And then, and then Pinkertons are involved in some capacity. You probably call them something different so the actual Pinkertons don't come kill you.
Would you get bored? You definitely get poor, but would you get bored if you had to eat at Whole Foods every day?
I went to Whole Foods yesterday, actually, for the first time in a very long time.
It's very expensive, but
I feel like their produce has gone downhill a little bit.
You're no longer part of the resistance. How dare you go to Whole Foods?
Exactly.
Sorry.
You put that poke bowl back.
Yeah.
But it's so good. It tastes better
$15,
than
Jeremy.
Liberty.
It's not worth it. There's a Hawaiian guy who will do it for 10. Just go look. There's a truck somewhere.
They have giant bags of shredded mozzarella cheese that don't have a weird preservative that all shredded mozzarella cheese has in it.
Just buy the mozzarella cheese and shred it yourself.
It's called natamycin. It's like an anti-fungal thing that most shredded cheese has in it. And I don't know if it's bad for you, but I don't want to eat it.
I want my fungus. Give me
I love fungus, dude.
That's what cheese is, isn't it?
Yeah. Why are you trying to keep why are you saying nada to the mycin?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? More mycin.
More mycin.
I want more mice in my cheese.
Yeah.
Of mice and men, if you were
but it's MYCIN.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
But
that's
it's like a reinterpretation. Once Of Mice and Men goes public domain, I'm gonna write Of Mice and Men, but everyone's a cheese. So it's all just jokes where all the characters are named after cheese and they say cheese things, you know.
That's $1 million idea.
Yeah,
you know what I think about all the time from Of Mice and Men? The guy
when he crushes the little rabbit mouse in his pocket.
No, that too, though. No, the guy who wears gloves full of Vaseline that his hands are really soft when he's like hanging out with his wife or his girlfriend or whatever.
Yeah.
But he's like working a hard job. I think about that all the time because I think about how disgusting it would feel to do manual labor with a glove full of Vaseline on.
I worked with a guy who did that.
No shit. Really?
He had, I'm gonna tread lightly on this one.
Okay.
All right.
So he was like, for a time before I was there, I think the manager at the place I worked at, and he also dated the sister of a girl that I dated for a very long time. Okay. So he was like, I don't know. I was somewhat in his orbit. He was a little bit odd, but he used to wear gloves and Vaseline was the inside, but I think he had some sort of condition.
Okay.
That said, if I wore Vaseline gloves, I would say that I had a condition.
That's true.
You know what I mean? I would. Maybe there is a condition, like dry skin. I don't know. Yeah. Like you got you get.
Maybe he's self-conscious. Maybe he doesn't want to tell people about his medical problems.
Yeah, but much like, trying to create a game at Zaum after everything that's happened, it's very difficult to talk to somebody as a normal conversation when the entire time you're trying not to look down at their Vaseline hand gloves. Like it's ever present. It's right there. Maybe that's a personal failure on my part. It's like the
Austin Powers mole thing.
Yeah, a little bit. And I feel like there's lots of things in my life that I don't bat an eyelid anymore at, that like perhaps as a less mature person I would have. I don't know about the Vaseline gloves because it's been 20 something years since I've been confronted with that situation. So
how did you know they were full of Vaseline? Did he tell you?
He told me. Yeah.
He should have just said I wear gloves because it's like, I feel like it's easier to just be like, I'm a germaphobe.
Could have said I'm a big Michael Jackson. No, maybe not. It wouldn't have been.
It wouldn't have been too.
No.
Yeah. Okay, this is the last question I have about this. Did they make a weird squishy sound when he like picks stuff up?
They squelch? No
noise. He was he was not the oddest ball that I worked with in that place. There was a girl. I'm going to say girl. I was going to say woman, but I think she was under 18. I forget. She might have been 17, 16, who was really into 4chan. And yeah. And this was like 2006 or something. So this
was right around the time you probably shouldn't have been doing that.
It was real, yeah. I mean, if you talked anything to her about like society, it got real nasty real quick. So that wasn't awesome. It was a bit of a...
Did anyone ever have to go out behind the store and shoot like a dumb guy in the back of the head or anything?
No.
Or like it out by
Thankfully.
Oh, okay. I thought you were
spoilers for Mice and Men.
Oh, yeah, I was sorry. There you go. We got back there.
Sorry.
There we go.
Sorry, that must have sounded horrible. If you haven't read Of Mice and Men, you're like, what's wrong with this fucking guy?
Yeah, Jesus, what a jump. Yeah,
Watch the Gary
tell me about
Sinise
the
movie.
Vaseline, George.
There's a Gary Sinise Of Mice and Men.
Yeah, he plays the not guy who's
Don't do it.
Oh, he plays George?
He plays George. What's the other guy called? Frank
Lenny.
or something? Lenny.
Wait,
He doesn't-
John Malkovich plays
John
Lenny?
Malkovich.
God.
Yeah.
What the fuck? All right,
you
I'm
not
watching
seen
this
this?
tonight.
Oh, it's good stuff.
Wait, John Malkovich is so like slender though. I always pictured Lenny as like a big hulking,
Yeah, he's
like
supposed to be a big-
Frankenstein.
He's
Yeah,
bigger
on
in
the
the
log at
movie.
the end, yeah.
I think I remember in the movie thinking he was big. Is
He
there
certainly
pictures
looks
there?
tall, but he doesn't
think-
look like hulking. He's supposed to look
Yeah.
like a big like, hey, what's going on, Lenny?
That's
Like,
why
he's
they got
supposed to
Gary
look like
Sinise, because Gary Sinise is very small. So
Yeah.
they were like, who can make Malkovich look like a Lenny?
that. Right, yeah.
Lieutenant Dan. That's who.
God damn.
Holy shit! Yeah,
crazy.
we did it. Yeah, we watched that at school because we read it Of Mice and Men at school. It's good. It's a good movie.
That's crazy. I'm surprised you did you watch like Cass at school? I feel like when you go
Yeah,
to school in
did.
Europe,
Yeah.
you okay. That's cool.
It's an interesting Malkovich. It's a little bit Simple Jack. If you've seen,
I mean,
Tropic Thunder.
based on the outfit, it looks like that's what they were pulling from,
Yeah.
to be fair.
It's a little of its
Yikes.
era. It's not quite Breakfast at Tiffany's levels,
Oh, man. Oh, that's bad.
but it's
Yeah.
like, yeah. Anyway,
Right.
The Legend of Khiimori. We keep doing that.
Yeah, we keep going off the rails and bringing it back.
Anything,
just to be
anything
clear-
else to say about it? Looks
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Let me say something that's not whatever we were just talking about. It looks good. The performance is weak. It's it is an early access game. I think when I'm judging an early access game, the thing I'm thinking is it doing what it says it's going to do, and do I see a foundation here for doing something cool and interesting and like building upon this? Yes, it succeeds at being an interesting game about it's eventually I guess it's going to be a Strand game. I don't know. Maybe I'll play Death Stranding at some point and come back and think differently of it. But it works in that regard, and I can see the things that I want them to do more of, and I hope they lean more on that. It has its strengths in maneuvering, but it's not. It feels like you're playing an Assassin's Creed game, both complimentary and derogatory. It's like you make the path manually, but I feel a lot of the time I'm just doing that thing Jeremy talked about in his Karen video, where you're like looking at the mini map and following the dot. I don't feel like I'm exploring the world as much as I would like to, even though there are a lot of landmarks and stuff you could like build your own map out of. I wish there was more of that, of like opportunities of really getting lost. There's a point where one of the characters says something. You can also switch the voice language to Mongolian, which I thought was cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I always appreciate that. But one of the characters says something like, enjoy the feeling of getting lost. But like, you don't get lost. There's no like, as soon as you enter an area, you get part of the map revealed, the fog of war goes away, and you can just set the map based on that. You see the roads. Like, and you can't play without it because the map is so flat and also mountainous. So it's hard to see over the mountains. It's hard to see stuff. There's no like telescope or anything. It's 13th century Mongolia. I don't know if they had those at that point. I don't think so. Or they weren't ubiquitous. So it's like there's so many parts of it where I'm like, if you just do 5% more of this, it will be awesome. If it just stays this way and like they do story content on top of it, which isn't there right now, it's just system stuff. I would like to see where they go with it. Right now, I'm happy with the structure of it, but they need to do more to make it fully work. I think it has the capacity to be great. That's how I feel about Legend of Khiimori.
Nice one. This was a very successful Kickstarter by the looks of things.
Yeah.
A number of years ago, they were asking for $60,000 to produce it, and they raised over $500,000.
Oh wow.
It's huge.
Yeah, so a lot of the reviews, because I was wondering why there were so many reviews. There's 74 reviews already up. Seems like a decent number of those are people who got the product for free, because they obviously have that little tick on the Steam thing, which is pretty cool. Reached a bunch of its stretch goals on the way, so that was pretty awesome. I've added it to my wish list. You've definitely piqued my interest. I think the bugginess and whatnot, I'm happy to wait.
Yeah, for sure.
To maybe play it at a different stage. And that's The Legend of Khiimori. It is $30. So I'll also say that. How do you feel about the price? Last question.
Yeah, for an early access release, it's definitely one of those things where I would suggest waiting. I don't think they've said anything about having the full price or full version be a different price. Or actually, they have. I'm looking at the early access thing right now. So it will be a different price once it's out of early access.
Okay.
So if you see a sale and you're interested in it, maybe pick it up while it's in early access. Even just what's there in the base game, there's enough game there. If it was like $10, I think people would be happy with the amount of content available. I haven't been through all of it, obviously, but just like the variety of stuff, there's enough there that I'd be happy with what's there now. They've planned to add story stuff, like I said, in the future. So we'll see how that goes if that ends up making it worth the $30. But yeah, if you're interested in it, pick it up while it's on sale. That would be my suggestion.
Cool. Did you get a code?
I did not. I bought it with my own cash money.
Nice. Yeah. Nice work. Expensive.
You got it.
On to, I guess, the last game. I just want to briefly talk about the Marathon Server Slam because I did not really play enough of this at all. Okay. I played the tutorial stuff and I played one match with some guys and then I was going to jump into solos and then I just was too busy editing stuff over the weekend and didn't get into it. But yes, they had the Marathon will be out by the time this podcast is out. It comes out on Thursday, March 5th. This, of course, is the extraction shooter by Bungie, creators of Destiny and team with massive bona fides in the Halo franchise that is based on an IP from very early in Bungie's history and sort of Apple Macintosh first-person single-player games. This, of course, is a game that has been talked about for many years. We had the incredible CG trailer that they put out last year. The game has changed leadership a bunch of times. It sort of changed genre at one stage. It's been going through a lot of changes, as our creators did as well, I guess, in some respects. But obviously, it seems a lot more turbulent over at Bungie than that. And yeah, I jumped into it and found it very interesting. Like this is a game that sort of invites a lot of conversations. I think. Before I get into it, have you guys seen much of it? Are you interested at all in Marathon? I know neither of you are necessarily extraction-y kind of guys, but what have you any interest from you guys? After
Arc Raiders, I'm interested in playing it, and I probably should have played it during the Server Slam to see if it was something that I'd actually want to put my money behind. I think I don't know. I don't really care anymore, unfortunately. The look of it is good. I like the aesthetic. I like the art style. I like how bright and poppy the colors are. I'm not getting the sense that this is hitting the same notes as Arc Raiders, and I didn't like Tarkov much, so I probably wouldn't get into it just from what I saw of a couple clips of the game.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of got this experience with playing a little bit of Tarkov, and then Arc Raiders hit, and I was like, this is interesting, but didn't really hit for me. And I feel like if Arc Raiders didn't hit for me and I'm sick of Tarkov, this is probably not for me. But it looks, I like the, like Jesse said, the art style.
Yeah, the art style is bananas. Like in some ways it feels sort of like you know, it's evocative of that trailer they put out. In some ways it feels a little bit placeholdery just because that's like placeholdery, like not derivative or not optimistic or whatever. Like it feels complimentary. Thank you. I'm so bad at memes. 6'7".
I'm so young and hip. I'm always saying this.
Like the style of this colony Tau Ceti. It takes place sort of a couple of light years away from Earth. Yeah, there's the intro, very strong storytelling in terms of the cutscenes, in terms of the setup. The actual missions themselves as well have a lot more lore than Arc Raiders does. Arc Raiders tends to sort of like dance around what happened before, whereas this is...
Are the characters voiced in this one by humans?
Oh, funny. Well, sorry. Your main person you talk to is like Shodan with an Irish accent.
Oh, that's fun.
So right. I actually really liked her. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I assume it's not AI voice, but I have no.
Is it also idea. Peter Dinklage? Why does Bungie keep doing that?
Yeah, but they're re-recording all of it now.
Okay, that's good. With Nathan Fillion.
Yeah,
weird.
So the big difference here is that this is first person. This is a first person shooter. That sort of fundamentally changes a lot of the shooting, the engagements. A lot of this stuff is going to be familiar to people of extraction shooters. You go in with your kit. You've got tools and medical things you can use and shield things you can use. The characters though are sort of class based. Like you have 4, I think, were in the Server Slam because they have like alts basically that are alts and like an alternative tool or whatever that you can use. Like you can jump, you can run out of the way, you can get a speed boost, or you can pull up a shield or whatever, and then they have an ultimate ability you can use like every minute or so as well. And yeah, you're going in, you're getting bits and bobs, and you're attempting to extract out. There is a decent amount of PvE in this game. So there are AI enemies, NPC enemies, let me clarify and say that, just in case any confusion. And they are tougher than you might think. This is not like fucking mobs in Dota or whatever. You know, these are actually like can kill you, and you probably shouldn't engage with them all the time. So I think what's interesting about the game is that like it's obviously for a lot of, you know, the guys I grouped up with were two buddies. One was on PC, one was on PlayStation, and they were big Destiny fans. And they were like, you know, oh, you know, we want to give this a go. We're big Bungie heads. You know, Destiny was the best thing. I've played Tarkov as well, but like Destiny's my jam and Halo's my jam, and I want to enjoy a Bungie game. And the shooting feels very Bungie as well. But I have a feeling that it's a new experience. It's going to take the player base a little bit of a while to figure out what this thing is, which I think is also the case for games like PUBG or Arc Raiders, obviously, games like that. I think it's going to find an audience. It seems well put together. Whether or not that audience is big, I'm not sure. There seemed to be a decent amount of drop off on the Server Slam over the course of the weekend. That's going to happen. People are going to test it out and say if it's for them or not. I think fans of this game, there's going to be people who really connect with this and love it. And then it, you know, and that was kind of what Destiny was like. Destiny was also originally like uncomfortable for Halo fans. And then they found their people and then they built a community around it. We could be talking about Marathon in a year or two. I don't know. But at the very least, it's got a very strong identity. The core gameplay is snappy and feels Bungie-like and all that sort of stuff. It's not for me. I for whatever reason, the first-person camera and the feel of the world, it's sort of more oppressive and depressing. And it doesn't have the vistas that I enjoy from lots of games like this, like PUBG, even Fortnite, obviously Arc Raiders. It's a bit more sort of blurry and oppressive and hazy and ground level because your head, you know, you're where you're at. Somebody needs to make a documentary about the interface on this game because it's like playing through that animation in the second Renaissance in Animatrix. It is like the most fucking insane, like DOS acid trip that you could imagine. And you know the way all menus, like once you've used them for a while, you'll get used to them.
Yeah.
The first time you're in this menu, it is so fucking confusing what anything's supposed to be.
I searched Marathon UI on YouTube. The first video is Marathon's UI is a mess.
Yeah, it is insane. Kind of by design though. So okay. I'm like, maybe you get used to it and it's like, you know, eventually, you know, blonde, brunette, redhead, right? You just figure it out. But in any case,
oh my God, this is awful.
it's so intense. So playing the game is kind of exhausting because of this, because like the game is so intense with the fucking cutscene of the moth when you're loading into a game and the constant like, you know, fucking weird 3D, 2D UI shit that goes on. And then when you're in the game, it's like popping off and all this stuff. And so I think people are going to super connect with it. And there's part of me that really likes it, but I just think flavor wise, it's not for me, and that's fine. And neither was Destiny. And honestly, neither was Halo. Like I liked Halo 1 single player campaign and I liked Halo 3's online and single player campaign, but I've never really connected with these. And obviously I've talked ad nauseum at this stage about how much the world building aspect of Arc Raiders is something that really helps me play that game a lot because I just like being in that place. Right. And a lot of that has to do with the vistas and seeing my character and seeing, you know, just being in that place and playing ultimately in the good boy lobbies, right? Where everyone's
social
cool to
aspect.
each other.
The arcs.
Yeah. And Marathon's not that. Marathon is an oppressive game about killing each other. Like everything's trying to kill you in this game, except your teammates, hopefully. And that's just not what I want to play, and that's fine.
Yeah, but it is funny how much Arc Raiders sort of came out of nowhere and showed everyone like, hey, you can make a multiplayer game that has PvP, but is still in some regards a social game where you're like working with other players in a sort of cooperative play space. And then Marathon is like, I don't know, man, we're just killing each other still. Isn't that fun?
Our friend of Noclip, Orahak, made a really great post about.
Oh, I read it. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Posted like a blog post. You should look it up on Blue Sky.
If you want to see someone who really hates Arc Raiders as well, you should read that blog post.
That is true.
She's not a big fan of those voices either.
But about how like it feels like sort of a social experiment playing in this sort of like hostile, like it's not inherently hostile. It's like you could be virtuous and you could collaborate, but a game that like rewards a more aggression first play style. How it's like it is sort of a toxifying force. But the interesting side of that, and this was my experience with Rust, that's why I really resonated with this, is that I enjoyed Rust so much for the first like week and a half I played it with my friends, because there were sort of these like fuzzy, ambiguous interactions with people. We built a base. There was someone with a base nearby. We made friends with them, and that was fucking awesome. So there was no game mechanic keeping us from killing each other, but no one killed each other. Yeah. And then after a week or so, someone on the server who was like min-maxing the fuck out of it, a group of 3 just came and like leveled both of our bases. And that was like the last time I enjoyed Rust, because then from then on, we were just like, they would just kill us for sport every time we logged on.
The earth had been salted.
Yeah, but it is interesting how you don't get the feeling of working together with people feels more potent when it is when you're opting into it, when the game could just as easily allow them to kill you. I've often think last thing is I've often thought that like the sort of evolution of this would be a game in which collaboration is not required, but is so heavily rewarded. I mean, Arc Raiders kind of gets into this territory a little bit.
Certainly with like the matriarchs and the queens. Like you're not, you need to. And
you can't
I think
solo those,
And that tension, I think, probably in the more PvP-centric servers is probably very interesting. Yeah. Because I bet there's people like fucking, ganking folks on the edge while no one's watching. You know what I mean? Stealing their shit. I bet that happens all the time.
Yeah, I would be interested to see someone do, because Arc Raiders is like round based, I would be interested to see someone sort of like extrapolate that into something more longitudinal like Rust, where a game lasts for like weeks at a time, and have a thing where people who opt into playing more aggressively are opting into having a less viable play style, that they become sort of like alienated, that they're patriarchs within this, or not patriarchs, what's the word?
They're outcasts, let's say.
Pariahs. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. That's just etymologically similar, maybe. That they're like alienated by choosing to play aggressively. I think that rewarding collaboration but not requiring it is a really interesting ambiguity.
Yeah.
Danny, you made a point also about the longevity of Marathon, is whether or not there's going to be a big enough player base to sort of support this kind of game. Yeah. Helldivers came out a couple of years ago and sort of showed you that if you just make a multiplayer game that's fun for like 4 weeks, and then you feed on the community there, feed on them like you're vampires, on the community like there and suck the money out of their wallets, you can make something that works if you keep feeding that community. But the thing is, you gotta let that happen. You can't come at it and be like, here's 6 months of a roadmap, and like, you got to be ready. The content's going to flow. Get ready for your third job. It's hard to do that. It's so hard to do that if you launched a game called High Guard this year, it turns out it might get shut down March 12th.
Yeah, it's the opposite side of that, because those roadmaps don't come for free. Like they're reliant on people. Yeah, so you're right. Like that's the thing about these longitudinal games, these live games, that so much of the conversation around them is to do with not the launch at all, but ultimately how they're supported.
I don't know if you saw that, by the way. That wasn't a bit.
What?
That it's getting shut down?
Yeah.
High Guard?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was weeks ago, wasn't it?
No, that was not them officially announcing that the game is permanently closing March 12th.
Oh, it's okay. So, oh, cool. Okay.
See, isn't that so funny that I said that and you were like, duh. What the hell else is going to happen?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, exactly. I was just like, that's
of course.
Assumed at this stage. Who's going to update the game? The fucking manager of the CEO of the company? Are they going to get in there? What's on this? What's this Trello board?
Going to do that?
What's this thing?
I hate to hand it to a Redditor, but this is a great fucking Reddit response to High Guard is permanently shutting down. It lasted 3.2 Concords.
Wow. That's
ouch.
Well done. I would upvote if I had a Reddit account still.
That was wild. That's a podcast for this week. We had some emails, but we've done over 2 hours, and I have a meeting in 8 minutes about Computer Worlds, actually, with Gil. So I got to jump into that. Computer Worlds, check out the trailer, share it, all over the place. Coming to Noclip 2 next week. Looking forward to that one. 1 p.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Sorry.
Okay. Steam time.
Also, check out the Patreon show. Patron show for February went up last week. There'll be one for March in the next couple of weeks. Noclip 2 will have the Pico 8 video made by Nocaps by the time this goes up as well. Check it out. If you've never heard of Pico 8 games, check it out. It's a great little breakdown. She breaks down the sort of identity of the games and the history of them and stuff like that, and the beautiful design box that they live in and all the great things that emerge from that. The Advent Children review is over on Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. Apologies. We give it its full royal title. Is over on the Noclip Patreon. The first episode of Metal Garasha, which was originally going to be our backlog series, which we're going to do with everyone, where we all jump in and do a let's play of basically a game that we have on our shame backlog. Jesse enjoyed Metal Gear Solid 1 for the first time, his first ever Kojima game experience, that we have decided to turn it into a series. So the second episode should also be up on the Noclip 2 Patreon by the time you are listening to this podcast. Like I said, Disco Elysium episode 6, the final episode in the series, will be up in early access either the day this podcast goes live or the day after. And episode 5 will be going public on Monday. That has been in early access for a number of weeks now at this stage. So loads and loads and loads going on. I'll also be doing a little video about Irish games for Paddy's Day in a couple of weeks. We have a bunch of other great little projects coming and going. Frank is in Japan on vacation, but he's also going to be filming a bunch of stuff for us over there, including some interesting stuff, kind of like his DDR video, but about the world of Japanese automotive racing. So yeah, look out for that on Noclip 2 as well. Support the podcast, fund our documentaries, and get access to bonus episodes, the official Discord, and more over at patreon.com/Noclip. If you like the work we do on Noclip 2 to highlight underground weird computer worlds, I guess, please support our work over there, patreon.com/Noclip2. And I guess we'll be back in just a minute here. Jesse, do you want to do your own little intro to this?
Yeah, top on over and talk to the developers of Mashina, Judero, and the future game Abide. Was it Jack and Talha, right? Yes, I got it. I was looking at the
Talha and Jack Co.
Talha and Jack is the way that we normally say it. Check it out. And we're back, and I'm joined by Jack and Talha, or Talha and Jack Co, as they may be known by their development name, the developers of Mashina and Judero, and a new game that you can play in the future that has had a successful Kickstarter called Abide, a new horror game, first-person horror game. This game, I am very excited for Abide. Seeing the trailer for it was just like the art style that you've used for these previous games, the design that you're going for with this new experience. Congratulations on getting this out there into the world for people to see a glimpse of and support. And congrats to getting to the end of the Kickstarter campaign. How does it feel now that you're at the end of that and you can sort of hit the ground running with the funding that you've received?
It is definitely a big weight off my shoulders. It's been a very tricky campaign as well. Like we've been pushing really hard, and it's just it's amazing.
Yeah, like in a lot of ways, we always think our games are quite easy sell because we see them and we think they're, we think quite positively about them. But as soon as I always feel as soon as I reveal the things to, oh yeah, actually this is really weird. So you're like, oh gosh, how do we sell this? And it was pretty rocky. Well, not rocky, but close to the edge campaign. But yeah, Over the Moon that is funded like there's our games wouldn't get made without community support like this. And yeah, it's great that so many people saw the potential in the work like we see it. And now that it's over, it's just great to get to I get to work on this and scripting dialogues, like looking at the art, thinking where it's going to go, what can we surprise people with.
We're having a lot of interesting conversations about let's see what this character might do and what kind of messed up cutscene that we might have to record and stuff like that. Just
right, and the messed up visual elements, and I mean leaning all the way into horror this time around, as opposed to games that have always been, or at least felt to me with Judero and Mashina, a lot kinder, a lot more kind than, even though they have creepier elements to them. Playing Judero, there were definitely a good couple of characters in that game that give me the heebie-jeebies, even thinking back on them now. But leaning all the way into horror, getting that funded, I mean, that was part of the conversation when I was talking with the Strange Signals team, your PR, and they were sort of explaining like the horses situation, that game being banned, and how that reflected on your thoughts about getting a game that is horror focused and is trying to touch on themes that perhaps aren't acceptable to a payment processor. Who would know anything about that? Yeah, that struggle. I mean, getting this game funded, was that a source of anxiety for you with this Kickstarter campaign, or is it sort of, now that you're done, were you overthinking it? How are you feeling on that?
Oof.
Tricky. Yeah, it's like I just always felt like this game could just, like, the current landscape of horror is a bit awkward, and I think it should, I feel like it should be more and more normal to just do like this stuff, because you can do all this stuff in movies, all like in books. There are way worse books and movies than anything that games ever did. But when it comes to like an interactive medium and payment processors and whatnot, it gets a bit complicated. But yeah, it's definitely like now that we have a successful Kickstarter campaign and a good following on this, we can just make the thing that we always wanted to make, and we don't need to censor it. We don't need to make it nicer for a publisher or anything like that. We can just be like, yeah, this is let's go.
It is a bit of a worrying license, isn't it, in a way, because you think like, well, let's just, people funded us, so let's just go for it. But that's maybe not always the best idea to, yeah.
It's challenging, but you've done the work to cover this stuff in a reasonable way. You've hired consultants to be involved in the production of these stories, of talking on these sort of harsher subject matters. It's part of what I think I appreciate so much, that you've made this swing into horror, of touching on topics that maybe don't really get explored with the depth that maybe they deserve. I know I've played more than a handful of horror games that I feel are sort of towing the line on whether or not they're allowed to do that stuff. Your process for bringing in the consultants and talking to them, actually, I was curious about this, because your production timeline for Mashina was quite quick. It took you like a year or two to get it really through completion, even less than that. That's a very fast timeline. What's your process like bringing in these consultants to talk about these different topics that you're planning to bring in with the bind?
It's a clinical therapist who I've known for a long time, shall we say, and counselor who I worked with. No, not in like a like that way.
No, it's all good.
You have sexual relations with this? What was happening?
Fucking hell, man! Fucking hell. And a counselor who I used to work with, and then she went into counseling. And I think the interesting thing is, like, of course, like, the responsibility is to get everything honest, right? I've found that that's made certain aspects a lot harsher, a lot crueler, a lot more difficult to masticate, shall we say, to chew on. So it's not making the work more anodyne or palatable or anything like this. It's actually opening up new areas which the horror can express itself in a way which I think is entirely fresh for well, maybe not to literature, but definitely for visual mediums like So, and it's in a therapy setting as well, which I know is just immediately going to be difficult for some people, but yeah, we're making a mature game, and it's going to be difficult for some people, and and therapy isn't always one of the conversations we've been having, which is where can therapy become manipulative or can become exploitative? What does a bad therapist look like, or a bad therapy practice look like? I think that's very interesting. And, you know, the literature's covered this, and even films in like the 1940s did this with things like, what's it called? The Snake Pit, where, which I think is still an incredibly bold movie. And it's interesting that you should talk about, fucking your therapist. Am I allowed to swear? Sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Because the resolve in that is, I'm better now. I don't want to fuck you anymore. Or, I mean, in 1940s language, right. You know, which is all couched in innuendo and stuff. So, yeah, it's been really interesting. It's just like, hey, does this, how do you feel about this? And things like it's not too much of a spoiler to say that some of the characters might be evil in this game. And things like, well, questions which bring out the characters, things like, well, were they evil did they have this evil in them when they were 5 years old? And then it becomes like a reflection on the writer as like, well, do you believe that there's such a thing as intrinsic evil in a character?
Yeah, where does it come from, right?
So that's quite interesting. So the idea of having consultants isn't making it less difficult in certain aspects. Does that make sense? Am I just waffling? I don't know.
No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, I think the assumption a lot of people have when you bring in consultants is that they're going to sort of sand off the edges, but it sounds like what you're trying to do is find a way to get as real as you can be without just like misrepresenting anything. And I think that's an important part of telling a story, especially in horror. A lot of people find an opportunity in film or you know, books, anything in the horror genre as an opportunity to explore harder ideas. And I think doing that with your art, with this game, with the writing, with the presentation again of putting this in a wellness retreat, Saint Boniface, is that?
Boniface.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Never heard the word said out loud before.
It's I think it's like a weird Anglo-Saxon name, but
okay.
Yeah, it's got different pronunciations around Europe as well. So, Boniface, and, you know, it's a Fatse, Polish, Slavic kind of pronunciation. But yeah, he's a saint. He was I'm led to believe he's the patron saint of taking little boys into the woods.
Okay. Like in a fun way? Okay, all right, I'll take that laughter as the answer. Well, so making a first-person horror game is very different from the previous two projects that you've done together. Mashina, obviously, being a very fun little digging game about making friends and in a machine garbage world. I love the way that game looks and plays. And Judero being a very poetic Celtic story about oh my God, what's the word I'm looking for? Like mythology and the stories involved from that part of the world, which I think is great. But this is such a departure. And I think that's something I really appreciate about your work, both now as a team and prior, of going everywhere with all these different genres. But as you continue to grow your abilities working together cooperatively, what challenges are you finding hopping between genres and different styles of games? Is there anything that you sort of can point at with this first person experience that it was a new challenge you had to solve compared to Mashina or Judero?
Yeah, I mean, like every genre is a learning experience. Like making a first person horror game is really different from making an action adventure Zelda-like or like a mining game. And that's what makes it fun for us, I think. It's just like we see the flexibility of Jack's art style with the stop motion and the physical elements, and we kind of figured out that we can just use that in any genre, and we're kind of pushing like, oh yeah, can we make it we can make it first person, let's do it, you know. But yeah, like for example, I realized that making mirrors work in a first person game is pretty awkward. Because your character, what you want to do is like a character without a head, right? So that you could see your hands from the camera,
right?
But that if you see that in the mirror, then that's not good. So you make another character with the head, yeah. So you want to make another character with the head that will show in the mirror. And I actually have another character that's rendering the shadows as well. Like it's a specific character for shadows. So there's like 3 characters at the same time walking and doing the same animations in this game. So they're like interesting design challenges. But the thing is like we were kind of doing it the hard way before, like with the whole billboarding and everything being 2D and just like thousands of photos causing memory issues and everything. And now we're like, oh yeah, first person game, like on my side anyway, on the code side, is like so much straightforward, because like when you ask people, they have already done the work, you know, they have already like there's a million first person horror games and they have like people know how to make them.
Yeah.
So I can just follow that technical standard essentially. But it might be a bit different on Jack's side, which with like all the scanning and everything. There's a lot of new technologies involved this time.
There's also things like getting the stop motion cutscenes to kind of gel with, you know, to flow naturally into the game. So, do you remember Final Fantasy VII when those pre-rendered cutscenes just went into the game? How magnificent that was! We're kind of aspiring to try and do something like that with so my little sets will represent somewhat. I mean, my little sets are just like a table where I put some stuff up, and then we're also going to be trying things like having chromaed out stop motion actually in game. It's different from billboarded stuff. I'm sure we're going to have some billboarded stuff because we got that tech behind us as well. But essentially, like we kind of passed that topic, but essentially kind of realizing that the visual style is only a visual style. It only goes so far, so that we get to explore different ways to express this thing. It is really fun.
You know, Talha made a point there about your art style sort of switching from this billboardy visual effect of like the 2D sprites being pointed at the camera. And Jack, in your behind the scenes video for Judero, you sort of opened talking about finding a lack of connection to the art style in a lot of video games and not being able to feel that tactility that you see in a lot of them. And that's sort of what you wanted to bring to games with your clay and kit bashed models. And like, I love the way that all looks, but with Mashina and now with Abide, you've sort of leaned into more of the scanning and 3D modeling aspect of game development, sort of leaning into that a little bit more. What softened your view on using that? Or was it more of a technical situation? Why are you moving towards that? Because Abide has 3D characters that are more scanned textures as opposed to what you've been doing previously with Judero and Mashina.
I don't really think it distills the message of the things are all handmade, and definitely going to reinforce that with like some kind of behind the scenes things in the games, because I think that shows our humility, and I think the humanness of creation is an important thing to celebrate these days. So I mean, there are real models which are scanned in, and then you can see the real models in traditional stop motion in the game. So you still will see the I just wanted to try something new. I'm kind of
that's a perfectly valid answer.
I'm just kind of bullshitting that. Call myself bullshitting that.
It's a very cool style.
We did have a lot of like discussions about like, okay, because we were going to try to continue the same like billboarded style, and then I was like, well, imagine the group therapy scene where everyone's sitting on the chair. Those chairs are going to look so awkward from certain angles. They're going to like float and stuff. Like we're not going to be, like, it's going to suck. And we had a lot of discussions about this. And then we're like, okay, let's give this a go. Let's see just how it feels. And then once we figured out how to scan the things and how we can actually mocap ourselves, like video to 3D animation type of thing.
Oh, cool.
Look, don't get too excited about the mocap. It's very, very lo-fi mocap. It's not.
That's even better.
It's this rather than doing.
It kind of clicked. Like, okay, this is a new type of thing, you know. And we are. I think we are quite excited about it. Mm-hmm.
No, it looks great, and I think there's a lot of opportunities to do interesting horror stuff, both intersplicing random FMV shots, which is a classic trope of horror, of just being like, and here's like a Cronenberg classic zoom in on something that you don't quite want to see that close up. I can't wait to see what you do with that. Even in the trailer for Abide, there's moments where like things are being stabbed and ripped apart, and for a second I thought you were like stabbing yourself in the hand and filming it. I'm like, what am I looking at? Which is a testament to your artistic abilities there. Yeah.
My prosthetic fingers. Yes. Someone visited the studio and was like, "Oh my goodness, it's a finger." And they're funny. The little latex fingers, which I've got like a space for a squib, which is like a little blood balloon thing. So it's fun. It's so fun to be able to get to make this stuff.
Yeah, part of the creative process I can imagine for this is because I mentioned that Judero and Mashina, despite being quite kind and quite poetic video games, I did still find myself getting a little scared of in the visual style and some of the characters. But when you're explicitly making characters and models for a horror game, does that change your perspective on the creation of them? Because a lot of them are humans that we've seen so far. But do you approach it in a different way, or are you still using that mindset of like picking things up and letting them form themselves in the clay as you have with the previous games?
You've got to let the very into this kind of idea of poetic inspiration and, for lack of a better term, magic happen. Of you start with the kind of idea, but also allow some freedom to let it happen, let it kind of give you something back. But Talha and I was like, there's just something uncanny about this whole stop motion thing, that it would be, let's do horror. We like horror as well. So when it comes to, we're actually not making visually horrific characters. There's just something horrific about stop motion. So not horrific, uneasy about it, unsettling about it. And the horror really lies in their character and being stuck with these bad words.
Yeah, and I also want to point out
it starts
that,
with a C, I imagine the word you were going to say.
Right. In Scotland, it's not
it's nicer in Scotland. It doesn't come out quite as harsh in your accent as it does in mine. Sorry, Talha, you were going to say.
Yeah, with the models that Jack has been making, there's a clear progression of like, okay, now like quality and different techniques that Jack is trying. That is like, now we have like full-sized models with joints, handmade joints, and really easy to animate and everything. So like, I like that with each project, not only we're trying a new genre, but Jack is also like honing and trying different things in his specific field as well, which I'm enjoying watching.
And Talha really, the games as well, they're not kind of little interactive movies. Talha's really, I like celebrating Talha. He's very good. Finding out, okay, I don't want to spoil anything, but okay, so what can I say? Oh, it's chase sequence, for example. This needs to go here. How about we have, the way things work is always progressing for us as well. It's nice to kind of push yourself. It's nice to feel that kind of little struggle of how do I solve this problem, and then arriving at a solution.
And solving them in different ways that aren't just always the same, like looking at how somebody else has done something and saying, let's just plug that in here, right? I feel like that's something that you've sort of avoided with your previous projects, of not trying to just fit the mold, no pun intended, like actually trying to do things in a unique and different way, which I really appreciate.
I feel like with my style, with my personality, it's a bit like, if someone gave me a book that said how to make an airplane, I would be like, can I just, instead of reading this book, can I just try real quick if I could make an airplane by myself? And then I would fail in a very funny way, but then maybe that could be cool in its own way, and then I would try to, sell it. I think there's something about that practicality and like wanting to be doing things and making things that is kind of part of our DNA with this studio. So
we really love games, and like I think through playing games, we kind of want to almost take like development and there's a play in development as well. I mean, if you go into like Tony Hawk's 2 build a map kind of thing, so that feels like play, but then it's kind of, or Mario Maker or something like this. Yeah. So yeah, blah blah blah.
No, it's messing around in those spaces and taking the opportunity to sort of find a way to express yourself, both as a player and as a designer, I think is something that everyone's looking for. I mean, games like Breath of the Wild or Minecraft, even those games are successful off the back of people being able to express themselves in a world, right? That's a beautiful thing. Talha, actually, it's funny. I was watching a bunch of your guys' older videos. I promise I won't bring anything up. Although, Jack, it was very funny listening to you talk about both enjoying and not enjoying Neuromancer very much. I found that very funny. You're like, when did I say that? 7 years ago, right? Yeah, I did my research. But Talha, you sort of started from Jack.
What did
sorry,
I
Jack,
like
go
about
ahead.
it? What did I like about it?
You actually in the video, so you were talking about a bunch of your inspirations, which I thought was like so much fun to listen to. I'm always curious what inspires people to make their work. And in the video, you were going through a bunch of games and movies, and then eventually you got to books, and you were like, I'm reading Neuromancer. I'm not really hot on it. I like the characters. Everything else kind of sucks, which I thought was a pretty funny way to talk about an inspiration. But it makes sense because you were talking about the characters, like the bartender with the one big pink arm.
Oh, it's my favorite thing
right?
about
exactly.
that book. He's just got a big pink plastic arm. You're like, great. I love that.
So I guess nothing else really stuck with you.
It's just like Ocean's 11 in space or something.
That's exactly what you said, yes. Okay, so that's stuck
Did
with
I?
you. Yes, that's exactly what you said. Look at that, 7
God.
years ago, you're still holding on to the good ideas that you got. That's great. That's great.
That's embarrassing.
By the way, I have no idea which video you're referencing right now.
Me neither.
I'm pulling from the vaults. All right, I checked the archives.
I don't even know which
Talha,
that's great. That's awesome.
You were talking about your development process early on and sort of getting into it. I think this was in the documentary that you did actually on Mashina. You made a point about how you started out development not even knowing English and trying to learn, what was it, Game Maker, right? Yeah, that process now, I imagine, because you guys have hopped into Unity, and obviously you're better at English than I am at Turkish. So it's you're in a good spot. But learning now, I feel like for a lot of people, learning games development, I keep up with a lot of the spaces of like tutorials, and I was in game dev for a while there in high school and early college. So I have a little bit of that experience of like learning how to code and everything. And I see the development space and like people's learning ability just falling off a cliff with all of this AI like Claude and ChatGPT stuff, especially as artists who approach making things in a way that like the most important thing is making for you two, it seems like. What are your thoughts on the way forward for developers? If there's anyone out there who wants to learn game development and feels that draw towards ChatGPT or any sort of learning model like that, language model rather, do you have anything that you would suggest them going towards in terms of starting game development, especially now that we have all these different options like Godot and Unity and all that?
I feel like the most important thing in learning anything is to believe that it's important, to believe that you should learn it.
That being your response is perfect.
And that's the problem with all the AI stuff, is that it makes you feel like it's not important. This tool could just do it for you. But instead, it's like, no, like it's so much different when you do it yourself, And I feel like I wouldn't really talk about a specific engine and be like, yeah, definitely go for that one or something. But just like you have to embrace the friction. Like as a hobby, I'm learning a little bit of Japanese right now, and it's just so awkward, so hard, right? But sometimes I get really frustrated with it, and sometimes I'm like, no, but that's the fun of it, is that awkwardness. Like when I try to say something and it's just all the wrong words that come to my mind, and it's like, oh wow, I cannot even speak like a 5-year-old child or something. But that if you judge yourself on that, why don't I just use Google Translate? what's the point? Like, come on, like the point was to learn and do something with it, right? But if you're like, yeah, some other tool will do it for me, then that kind of defeats the purpose. I think you just have to find the joy in learning and making, I think, is the answer, I suppose. Like if you find the joy, it's just like really easy to learn. It just takes time. Time is all you need, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What a wonderful answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think there's something nice about that struggle of learning and overcoming things, which people can become quite avoidant of. Think, it's too much, or I can't do it, or something like that. So always kind of think of things in incremental steps, like start small. Never start with finish things as well. Get things to a finish point, but then don't see that as like get it to a finish point, but not an end point. So like a stepping stone to the next thing. That can always be pretty good. And if you just like share it with your little brother or something, look at this, or that could be really nice.
Yeah, like the amount of pressure that you put on something that you make is like, okay, I'm gonna make a game and it's gonna be like God of War or something, and then you just lost it, right? You just have to be happy with the first thing that you can make and then start building from there. And if you can enjoy that process, that will make it so much nicer for everybody, I think.
Right. Speaking of learning and schooling and everything, Jack, you sort of came to an art education, a more formal one anyway, a little later in life, just a little bit. And
this research, Jess.
Look, I told you, I Googled. Part of
We've
that.
done multiple interviews. None of them just like go into.
I want to make sure I understand who I'm talking to. All right, you guys are very. Your work is very special to me. I didn't want to come in here and just be like, based on Abide, and I read the Kickstarter page. No, when you were, getting into it, you mentioned at one point wanting to have an immersive theater experience that people could come into, but not being able to afford to actually pull that off. Abide seems like the closest version of that so far from all of your previous games. Are you feeling as though you've fulfilled your dream all those years ago with this experience?
They're all kind of like
they've all felt to some extent, but this has like actors and there's people walking around the house. I guess the characters in Judero are in a similar vein, but sorry, go on.
Yeah. I don't know. I think games are just so much. I just like the medium quite a lot. So it just seems to be able to express a lot more than interactive theater. That's what. I don't know. There's some things which I would consider like you go into a room and an actor comes up to you, starts saying, I don't know, like what's the Paul McCarthy thing? The clown just going, no. Like, I think that would be quite a wonderful experience to have, which you can't get in games. So yeah, they're different mediums, but I don't see this as akin to interactive theater.
No, not yet. All right. Maybe one day.
It's just well, that's to diminish the wonderfulness of games, isn't it? Interactive theater is more valid or something like that. I don't know. It's hard. Interesting question.
Like, discussion we kept having with Judo and the reception of it was like people pointing out how artful and poetic it was. But for us, it's like what we were trying to do is just like a really fun action game, right?
Oh, it's very, it plays fun and it's funny. It's a very funny video. I laughed a lot at that game. Like, what's that one island where there's just a bunch of people running towards you yelling like Jack, or what are they yelling? I can't remember. There's like a whole island of people that just yell one word or one area.
From Carlisle.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay. Yes. You're like, they were yelling my name? No, I wouldn't do that. No.
Carlisle. Well, Carlisle was also a name, but Carlisle's the name of a town where lots of English people would come over the border and steal cows. I thought it was funny that they just
no, that was great.
They also say "game on," which
yes.
whenever I take a a train down to Talha or to London or to England, you always hear someone on the train who's drinking beer, like an English guy, going, "Game on, right? Yeah, cool, game on." I thought, like, oh, that's what English people say. So that's what he's.
There's so many stupid references that only make sense to us, like the boss fight with the giant Galligantus.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
He'll say like, "Stand up and fight," and then that's like one British politician said that in one of their talks, and then that just stuck with us, and then it just made it into the game. It's like only funny to us basically, but it's just, you know.
There was one of the candidates for the Conservative Party over here called Penny Mordaunt. She was trying to make a memeable speech. You know how politicians have become like entertainers or wanting to become clips, and she kept on just going, "Yes, we must stand up and fight," and it was just absurd. And I shared it, and it was. Yeah, it's not really funny when I say it now, but it was funny.
But that's the thing. Like we just keep trying to make each other laugh, and that kind of finds its way into. But what we were saying the other day, like just these long meetings where we just try to design the game, and it's like, oh, should this work this way and stuff, and then you kind of start saying random things, and then you start laughing at them. Like one thing that just made us laugh out of nowhere was like, "Big hands, sweet dreams," and then that came from like a stupid place of like multiple steps. You know what they say about big hands? It does not make any sense, right? But then, yeah, that's how we make our games, I suppose.
What a process!
Because it is like it is entertainment, right?
Yeah.
And there's if people say there's artistic qualities, or I mean, we know there is, but well, you know, art can be entertainment, and we've chosen this medium to express an idea, and this medium is a game, you know.
When I first met Jack, like we were talking about his games, and it's like, wow, I felt like I was talking about one of his games. Oh, I felt so like emotional when this character said this thing. I thought it was really interesting. What made you write that? And he would just say, I thought it was funny. Like I was laughing writing that, and I think that says something about Jack, that everything he says, he writes down has like, you can take it as a joke, and you can take it as a very like emotional, real thing. And there's that kind of duality that he likes to play with, I think, which is what I like about his writing, I suppose. One of the things.
Maybe not a joke, but definitely entertaining, I think I know. Remember what it was. It's like a little fat guy in the game World Will You Ever Return 2, and he's going on about something emotional. But then it kind of, you take one step back, and it's like a little plasticine fat guy saying this. I think it's funny when you kind of remove yourself a bit from it. I think it's funny, and then you see someone else kind of like, oh wow, and you're like, come on, it's a little plasticine fat guy.
There's cows in Judero saying really interesting things, and then it's like, am I supposed to take this seriously because it's a cow telling me this?
That's maybe a good criticism for that thing, that it's almost like a ironic defense, you know, don't take it seriously, it's a cow saying it. But my retort would be like, well, why can't you take it seriously and take it ridiculously at the same time? So I think
enjoy it on multiple levels, right?
Oh yeah, that sounds good.
It's got layers. That's actually similar to a quote that I think it was Marina Kataka from and Analgesic Games was talking about this, the developers of Anodyne, of like their new game Angeline Era is very couched in mythology and religion, and it really tries to present these ideas in a way that takes them both seriously and fun. And it's like you can have, like, they agree with what you guys are saying here of like, this is a very important thing of making something that is fun and an opportunity to show parts of the world. Like you were talking about all these references in Judero that really only make sense to people from the place that you're from the UK. But like, I still appreciated that both as a learning experience of like, now this stuff is in my brain. And one day I would have heard those lines and been like, wait a second, are they quoting Judero? But no, I would have obviously realized it's like a real thing. So it's great to have that culture come out in the work. Are you trying to apply more of that into Abide? Like you've mentioned that this is based on a real saint, but like, is there any sort of cultural stuff you're trying to bring to this new game, or are you letting it focus more on the horror and pulling from things that inspire you in that way?
I mean, it's kind of based on a real place. I don't really want to say about that because, I don't want to. The real place is quite a nice, good place.
Okay. Don't want to dissociate it with this.
Horrible.
Yeah, right.
Jack, you've been saying like how you want the game to be all in Italian and stuff. Like I suppose that kind of speaks to how we think of it as more of an atmospheric, like a horror giallo type of thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's kind of got a Europeanness about it, of a kind of like where politeness meets friction, which I think is quite a European thing, or especially a German Anglo-Saxon thing. But it's not Scottish or Turkish or anything like that, no.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I feel like the film inspirations alone were a good sign that you're leaning on a specific thing. Again, Skinamarink, a movie that I have a lot of appreciation for, despite the fact that most people get bored 20 minutes in. The lo-fi aspects of that also, I think, are a big part of what I'm seeing in Abide. Sorry, you were going to say something about Skinamarink.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure it needs to be much more than 20 minutes. But,
probably could have cut it down a little bit, yeah. It drags.
I liked it a lot, yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed how it
actually
sit.
Scary. I don't get scared by anything, but
no.
I was like, I'm gonna, give myself some time with this film in the dark, and I was kind of scared. I mean, I don't know if that was, when you just letting yourself be in a receptive mood, and anything can be like that. You sit down to The Notebook, and if you're in a receptive mood, you'll blubber up. So
I find myself laughing at The Notebook more often than I do crying at it. It's a funny movie. What do you want? Tell me what you want. So yeah, I was saying about Skinamarink, the sort of lo-fi aspects of it. You're talking about the lo-fi motion capture that you've done. You're bringing your art style back into this. How much does that lean into, or how much are you leaning into that rather, for making a scary game and embracing the aspects of your art that allow it to be scary? Because I find that a lot of good horror gives space for the viewer or the audience or whatever to fill in the gaps with their own imagination. Is the goal still to do that, or are you trying to fill in more of that with these higher definition models? What's your goal in leaving the space there? Is it sort of flexible based on the experience? Because there is a day-night cycle in Abide, and it sounds like the day is psychological and the night is more horror focused. Is that your angle there, of leaving the space for the audience at nighttime and psychologically trying to really hit them over the head with a hammer of like, this is what we're talking about during the day?
I think it's all about the things which you don't quite see, which I think that seems to be a theme which we're parsing from the work, such as like even the first person camera. So Talha's making these ghosts, for a lack of better, shadows, they're actually, which you only see from a peripheral view, and then if you're looking at them, they're not there. These sorts of things, and the unseen qualities of characters, and the persona which is presented versus the truth behind the character. So there's that aspect of it. I kind of immediately forgot the question, but darkness, of course, is like absence of light, so that's goes into it as well. And there's that whole dark thing of what's around the corner as you come towards the corner. Is something going to jump out, or we know someone's up, but we don't know where they are. These sorts of things are really unnerving. Yeah, it might be okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we also want Abide to be a game of like consequences, like the decisions that you make should matter a lot. Like the decisions about who you talk to, which person you pick during therapy, which person you do a house chore with, and then what you do at night. Do you get caught trying to do the things that you're doing? and all of this will unlock different endings, and some of them will be slightly nicer, but not really that nice because it's a horror game. Every ending is kind of horrible, isn't it? But I wonder, yeah.
Yeah,
gosh.
Anyway, what's the nice ending of this game?
Yeah, how can you make it nice? Yeah. So that's another important angle to it, I think.
The dark part, I actually had a question because you've changed the logo on your Kickstarter page to say Talha and Jack After Dark. And I noticed at the end of the Mashina doc, you had sort of, I think, Jack, you made a comment of like Judero being your morning game, Mashina being your afternoon game, and this being, I guess, an evening game. It makes a lot of sense given the subject matter. Is that what you're leaning on with this After Dark change, or is it just like a fun difference to point out that you're making a horror game here?
I don't know how to. You're gonna think I'm sounding. Yeah, Talha might want to disown me from the company if I go into this too much, but I've got incredible affinity to the number 3, and it's kind of a historical importance and poetic inspiration. I think there's something very good about the idea of a trilogy. If you look at ancient Europe, we only had 3 seasons, whereas you went from the darkness of midwinter to the end of spring. Then you had summer, and then you had the end of summer to the darkness of midwinter again. So that's something. And if you look at myth, things like the Chimera, which has a lion's head, a goat's body, and a snake's tail. This is the power of myth, because it's a fantasy which is representative of a natural truth, unlike a parable or something like this, where the lion's head is like the roar of life, which you can see in Narnia, for example, and then the goat's body, which is now been twisted by Abrahamic religion, Greek Christianity in particular, of seeing the goat as something evil, but Capra was like the transformative energy of nature, Mashina, and building things and stuff like that. And then the snake's tail, the darkness, the darkness which comes, the biting thing, and we can see that also in the godhead of paganism, of ancient, where the godhead was I'm really sounding crackers now, but I find it all so interesting.
Incredibly interesting.
Where the god was Mother Earth or something similar, and you can see this in a lot of ancient religions, which is really seen as the maiden, the nubile, the crone, these 3 things, and the male kind of aspect is only to kind of keep the universe, the female universe going, and this is what the cows are talking about in Judero, and I really think it's interesting. So kind of going into that, and then there's the morning, day, night, which is quite obvious, and then there's past, present, future, and these are things. Yeah, so it works different with Judero's past, Mashina's future. This is in the present, because I think there's the honesty of horror needs to somehow be in relationship to exploitation, but also in when it's really horrific is something honest there. How freaky kids are, or how freaky dolls are, or how freaky a guy with a knife in your bedroom is.
It's quite scary.
Yeah, and I think modern times is like that. That's needed. It's the good setting for a horror. So yeah, that's my answer for the number 3.
So Talha, are you sticking around still, or was that too much for you? What do you think?
I am kind of overwhelmed, because the way I was looking at, one of the ways we talked about it is that, when we make horror games, we can put it under this label, Talha and Jack After Dark.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's a shorter answer.
There's that as well, to kind of say, maybe this isn't for the same
Yeah, right after Mashina. Don't sit your kids down to play Abide. They're not in the same wheelhouse. They're not even in the same universe.
But didn't Disney do that with Criterion? Or, like Disney movies, and then they had a different label.
Oh, yes. Yeah, most of the studios do that, where they'll have like a separate label that they use. This is with adult movies go, there's a sex scene in this one. Don't show it to the kids.
And I think that's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
So,
I pitched Mashina as like a secret sequel to Judero, just because going back to the cow in Judero, one of the cows was talking about like a far future thing, and I was like, oh, what if that far future is Mashina and stuff?
Cool.
And then Jack was like, nah.
Okay.
And then that was the end of the discussion. So yeah, they are completely separate works, and it actually makes me laugh, like thinking about someone trying to get into our work and being like, okay, I'm gonna play Judero and Mashina and Abide, and they will be so confused.
But there's at least a through line of like obvious artistic expression going on there, of like seeing that these are people trying to make a specific story. Man, it doesn't matter what they're doing. It's done in such a well made way. So thank you.
And it's entertaining.
Yes.
Oh,
no, it's very entertaining.
Well, we aspire to be entertaining. Hey man, thanks so much. You're really nice interview.
Very kind.
Well, I just, I'm not trying to sound too nice. I'm going to say a mean thing. I can say a mean thing if you want. But no, I'm kidding. No, please don't. I'm on camera. Okay. Well, thank you so much for giving me the time. I really appreciate it. This has been an incredibly fun conversation. I do have one more question before we get going. You've talked about this game and all of your other games. I think, Talha, you made a point about this near the beginning, of wanting to make as many games as you can in this art style, of trying to use Jack's artistic abilities and Talha, your creative abilities and development, to make as many different things as you can. If your budget had no limit, if you could do whatever you felt like doing, what genre would you want to take on next after Abide? If your Kickstarter made you millions, where would you go?
I have a dark fantasy action game idea that is just not possible with the current budgets of our projects. But so that would be one that's like, okay, like 3D action where you can rotate the camera, almost like a Dark Souls type of, action thing, could be nice. And then I think Jack's writing and art would work so well with that. And maybe one day, but that would be my thing, I suppose. Like another secret sequel to Judero that Jack would say, no, that's not a sequel.
Right. Just start pulling at all the cow quotes. What game can I make based off this? Where can we go with this? Jack, you've been ruminating.
I think I would just get all my lovely creative friends, get them to make something, and then make it as a big anthology or something like that.
I love that.
Like, I think you gotta just see what comes. There's lots of little ideas. It'd be cool to do something like
it would just be cool to pay a bunch of people and like give them a sustainable life, I think is a fair approach.
Exactly. Yes. I just know so many beautiful people full of like inspiring magic, which I wish there was more space for their voices to be heard.
There's a lot of people who are like extremely good at something, but then someone just needs to pay them for their magic. And both
You're
Jack and I are
magic
just
as well now.
like both Jack and I are just like generalists who do a little bit of everything, right? So we're like, okay, we'll just do what we can. But it's nice to imagine a world where we can be like, just get the best people for everything, and then see all of our creative friends and stuff add to the nice soup we're making. Yeah. So that would be nice.
Yeah, I guess that would be a dream, to kind of like broaden our kind of little company with, just other people we're starting to slowly try and do it, but budgets are tight these days.
Also, I would like more time on projects. That's the real
would be so amazing.
Dream,
as artists, being able to experiment more and not having to just get the next thing done would probably be a godsend, I can imagine.
That would be nice. Yeah.
Well, hopefully in the future, hopefully Abide sells 1 million copies. I'll do what I can. I'll buy. Look, I can promise I'll buy 3. All right, that much I can do. I know I'm so kind. I'm so giving, and you are so kind also for giving me your time to come and talk on the show. So thank you so much. This has been a really fun conversation, and best of luck with the development on Abide. Jack and Talha, thank you so much. And again,
thank you,
good
man.
luck.